Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales. Chapter 42-54. When the golden beam cat beast was trapped and unable to escape, it was destined to die here. Most importantly, Kong Shinmu's terrifying nirvana-devouring power had already invaded its body and was constantly devouring its life force and essence, causing it to become weaker and weaker. In less than the time it took to drink a cup of tea, the golden beam cat beast had completely lost its ability to fight and fell to the ground with a plop. As for the silver beam cat beasts in the surroundings, they were killed by Kong Shinmu and the two female students. After the golden beam cat beast lost its ability to fight, these ordinary beam cat beasts didn't have any room to maneuver. They were completely ineffective against Kong Shinmu's attacks. Kong Shinmu could casually kill them. Moreover, he had already invaded their bodies with his nirvana-devouring power. This nirvana-devouring power caused many of them to lose their ability to fight even earlier than the golden beam cat beast. Kong Shinmu, you're too amazing. Although they didn't know the exact situation, the two female students knew that it was definitely because of Kong Shinmu that the golden beam cat beast leader could be killed so easily. There's no time to lose. Kill these ordinary beam cat beasts and restrain the golden beam cat beast leader before rushing back. The others might already be in danger. Kong Shinmu said in a deep voice. He was very worried about the situation of the other golden beam cat beast. If that golden beam cat beast found an opportunity to kidnap some of their students, the situation would be dire. Most importantly, he had spent so much time to kill the golden beam cat beast. There was a high chance that something had happened on the other side. All right. The two female students didn't ask about the exact situation. In any case, they just had to follow Kong Shinmu's instructions. They trusted Kong Shinmu very much. When Kong Shinmu finished speaking, they immediately attacked and killed the ordinary beam cat beasts that had lost their ability to fight. Then, Jiang Shenwu's black divine dragon body dragged the golden beam cat beast's body, which had lost its ability to fight, back to where it came from. Since the other golden beam cat beast wanted to take a hostage, he would do the same. The two female students followed him the entire way, feeling a little nervous. After all, they didn't know what the situation was like. Now that so many Liang cat beasts had appeared, it was clear that the information they had received was wrong. From what Kong Shinmu had said, it seemed that the others had encountered some trouble. What's more, Lin Yuji, who was in the same group as Kong Shinmu, didn't show up. It was more likely that something had happened. The trio dragged the golden beam cat beast and rushed back as fast as they could. Soon, the underground cave that extended in all directions appeared in Kong Shinmu's field of vision. An incomparably terrifying power came from the center of the tunnel ahead, causing one's heart to palpitate. Sensing this power, Kong Shinmu's expression changed. The power coming from the passageway in front of him gave him a feeling that he was completely unable to resist. Oh no, let's go take a look. Kong Shinmu didn't retreat and quickly moved forward. When he dragged the dying body of the golden beam cat beast to the center of the passageway and saw the situation clearly, he was speechless. He realized that the power that he was completely unable to resist was actually released by a dragon martial artist. However, that dragon martial artist wasn't an ordinary dragon martial artist. It was a mentor from Donghuang Yanggu College. Tan Shoujue, the mentor who had taken Chuyi away. At this moment, Tan Shoujue had transformed into a powerful existence on the level of the Dragon Emperor. The terrifying earth elemental samsara power swept across the entire area. One of the golden beam cat beasts had already been smashed into pieces by the earth elemental samsara power. Lin Yuji, Bao Peng, and Qin Shouji were fine. They just stood there in a daze and broke out in cold sweat. There were two other students present. They were Chu Yi and a female student. The two of them were in the same group. At this moment, the two of them were covered in cold sweat and seemed to have lingering fear. After the golden beam cat beast was smashed into pieces, Tan Shouzhua returned to his human form. His expression was a little solemn. Chu Yi, you've really disappointed me. How could you encounter danger in a place like this? Do you still look like a student of Donghuang Yangwu College? Chu Ye's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He had always been smiling mischievously, but now he couldn't even smile. He scratched his head. I had no choice. If I couldn't beat it, then I couldn't. This golden beam cat beast was too strong. I couldn't resist it and was captured. At this moment, Tan Shouzhua saw Kang Xinmu and two female students rushing over. Seeing the dying golden beam cat beast being dragged over by their divine dragon bodies, they could not help but feel a little surprised. Why couldn't you beat it? Look at them. They beat the golden beam cat beast half to death. Tan Shouzhua said angrily. If this gets out, people will say that I, Tan Shouzhua, didn't teach your disciples well. Seeing Kang Xinmu dragging a golden beam cat beast over, Lin Yuji, Qin Shouji, and Bao Peng were also a little surprised and afraid. It was obvious that something had happened just now for Chu Yi to call a teacher over. One had to know that every student only had 3 chances to call a teacher for help. Once these 3 chances were used up, it would be impossible to call a teacher for help in the future. Kang Xinmu walked to Lin Yuji's side and asked. After Lin Yuji's simple explanation, he finally understood what had happened. It turned out that it was just as he had imagined. The other golden beam cat beast left from another path and quickly caught Chu Yi and the female student. It planned to come back here to threaten Lin Yuji and the others. In the end, when the two sides were confronting each other, Chu Yi called teacher Tan Shouzhua over. Tan Shouzhua naturally made a move and killed the golden beam cat beast instantly. If it wasn't for that, Chu Yi and the female student would probably be dead by now. This was because Lin Yuji, Bao Peng, and Qin Shouji couldn't do anything when the other party had a hostage. They didn't expect that it was really as Kang Xinmu had said. The golden beam cat beast went to capture the hostage. Originally, they were still cleaning up the corpse of the beam cat beast. When they came back to their senses, it was already too late. They were all at a loss. This kid is called Kang Xinmu? Tan Shouzhua glanced at Kang Xinmu and was very unhappy with Chu Yi. Do you remember that he joined the academy at the same time as you? If I had known, I would have chosen him. These words made Chu Yi feel a little uncomfortable, but it seemed to be the truth. At this moment, Kang Xinmu had actually beaten the other golden beam cat beast to the point where it was on the verge of death and dragged it over. At this moment, Lin Yuji and the others had no choice but to admit that Kang Xinmu was capable. It seems that even without the teacher's help, Kang Xinmu can still turn the situation around by dragging this golden beam cat beast back as a hostage. Lin Yuji couldn't help but think. Chapter 42-55. Silence reigned. Tan Shouzhua looked at Kang Xinmu with admiration. I didn't expect Chu Yueqiang to find such a good disciple, haha. Tan Shouzhua's praise made the surrounding students look at Kang Xinmu in a new light. Lin Yuji, Bao Peng, and Qin Shouji wanted to find a hole to hide in. This was too embarrassing. If they had listened to Kang Xinmu's arrangements, everything would have been fine. Even the tutor wouldn't have needed to appear. But now that something had happened and the tutor had to come and solve it, it was a big blow to them. Originally, they didn't think much of Kang Xinmu. Although Kang Xinmu was strong, he wasn't much stronger than them. But now, it seemed that not only was Kang Xinmu stronger than them, but he also had better judgment. This made them feel a little guilty. But no matter what, they were all students of Donghuang Yangwu College. They had the right attitude and no jealousy. They only admired Kang Xinmu and reflected on their actions. After the 2 golden Liang cat beasts were killed, there were no other Liang cat beasts left in the underground cave. Since Tan Shouzhua was already here, he wasn't in a hurry to return. He stayed in place and ordered the others to kill the other Liang cat beasts in the surroundings. Ordinary Liang cat beasts were hidden in the underground cave. If they weren't killed, they would be a threat to the sacred abyss dragon country in the future. Therefore, killing the Liang cat beasts was a must. At this time, Kang Xinmu and Lin Yuji regrouped and worked together. Tutor Tan said that everyone will get experience points based on the number of Liang cat beasts they kill. You'll probably get a lot this time. Lin Yuji smiled at Kang Xinmu. I hope so. Kang Xinmu nodded. What he lacked the most right now were experience points. With experience points, he would be able to level up quickly. Just the dying golden beam cat beast you brought back is worth a lot of points, right? Lin Yuji chuckled. I wasn't the only one who killed him. Kang Xinmu knew his own limits. If it wasn't for that pair of female students using the fusion dragon martial skill to injure the golden beam cat beast, he wouldn't have been able to deal with the golden beam cat beast. Both sides were basically equal. No matter what, you gained more than me. Lin Yuji was impressed. Moreover, Instructor Tan clearly admires your judgment of the situation. She might even give you extra points. As a teacher, he naturally had the right to give out more experience points to his students. Although it couldn't be too much, even if the academy didn't give it to them, he could still personally distribute it to them. As mentors of Donghuang Yangwu College, experience points were also useful to them. However, the way to obtain experience points was through higher-level missions. Of course, the missions that the mentors accepted were no longer called training missions. They were really going out to solve the problems that the Dragon Emperor Empire couldn't solve. It wasn't like the students' training missions, where the Dragon Emperor Empire just handed over some troublesome matters to them. Kang Xinmu and Lin Yuji were in the same group. They killed normal Liang cat beasts in the underground cave, so their speed was definitely much faster than the other groups. Kang Xinmu acted as a meat shield, and no wind element power could hurt him. Even if another golden beam cat beast appeared, he believed that he could easily face it and kill it with Lin Yuji. Just as Kang Xinmu was thinking about this, a golden light suddenly flashed in front of them. As expected, another golden beam cat beast was running away with the other normal Liang cat beasts. They clearly sensed that the enemies in the underground cave were too strong, and they couldn't hold them back, so they planned to run for their lives. Unfortunately, they were stopped by Kang Xinmu and Lin Yuji. The next day, the group brought more than 100 normal Liang cat beasts and the corpses of the 4 golden beam cat beast leaders back to the Sacred Abyss Dragon Country. The general in charge of the Sacred Abyss Dragon Country was shocked to find out that they actually killed so many Liang cat beasts in the underground cave. According to the information they received, there was only one Liang cat beast. During this time, Tan Shoujua had already gone to the surrounding towns and asked around. Only then did he find out that the Sacred Abyss Dragon Country didn't lie about the information. They didn't know that there were so many Liang cat beasts. Liang cat beasts ate humans, but only one Liang cat beast would come back with a large amount of prey. Therefore, even the Sacred Abyss Dragon Country didn't know that there were so many Liang cat beasts in the underground cave, and there was even a golden beam cat beast leader. Although they didn't lie about the information, they were still in the wrong. Therefore, Tan Shoujua punished them slightly by having the number of training missions that the Sacred Abyss Dragon Country could give out for the next year. This undoubtedly meant that they would have to solve many troublesome problems by themselves in the future. In the face of such a punishment, the Sacred Abyss Dragon Country didn't dare to resist at all. Then, Tan Shoujua brought the students back to Donghuang Yangwu College. Next, it was time to reward them according to their contributions. There were 4 golden beam cat beasts, so they could get more experience points. One of them was killed by Tan Shoujua, so it didn't count. 2 of them were killed by Kang Xinmu. 1 was killed by him and 2 female students, and the other was killed by him and Lin Yuji. He would get more than half of the experience points from killing the 2 golden beam cat beasts. Therefore, Kang Xinmu killed 1 Liang cat beast by himself. The last one was killed by Chu Yi, Bao Peng, Qin Shouji, and the rest of the group of 8, so they didn't return empty-handed. The experience points from killing 1 golden beam cat beast were equivalent to killing 50 silver beam cat beasts. Kang Xinmu made a huge profit this time. He calculated that the experience points he got this time were more than 5 times the experience points from other missions of the same level. It was almost the amount of experience points he could get in a month. Including the 3 months of experience points that Lin Yuji gave me, it's a total of 4 months of experience points. It's a huge gain. Now, it's time for me to improve rapidly. Kang Xinmu clenched his fists. After Lin Yuji transferred the 3 months of experience points to him, Kang Xinmu took all the experience points and went to exchange them for experience points. He planned to go into seclusion for a while. He could exchange for all kinds of natural treasures. On one hand, he could increase his cultivation level, and on the other, he could practice the dragon body refining technique, chaotic dragon body. He could also exchange for other origin dragon martial techniques and start cultivating them. Unfortunately, the higher level origin dragon martial techniques required a lot of experience points. He only had a few experience points, so it wasn't enough. He could only give up for now. I should increase my cultivation level and body refining first. Chapter 4256. In Kang Xinmu's own palace. This time, he exchanged for enough heaven and earth treasures in one go and decided to cultivate in the palace for a month first. Among them, half were heaven and earth treasures that contained all kinds of heaven and earth spiritual energy. Kang Xinmu mainly used this kind of heaven and earth treasure to raise his cultivation level. After all, his current shortcoming was that his cultivation level was too low. Others were generally at the 6th, 7th, or even 8th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, but he was only at the 3rd level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. If his devouring Nirvana force was strengthened, it would increase his basic strength. No matter what method he used, he would be able to unleash more power, so his priority would definitely be at the top. The other half were some special materials used to cultivate his chaotic dragon body. This kind of material was also needed by other dragon martial artists. It was mainly used to cultivate the source-level dragon martial skill. The attribute of the dragon martial skill depended on the attribute of the material. Absorbing the corresponding type of heaven and earth treasure would have a good effect on the dragon martial artist's cultivation of the source-level dragon martial skill, allowing the dragon martial artist to cultivate it faster. In the first half of the month, Kang Xinmu mainly absorbed the heaven and earth treasures, preparing to advance to the 4th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. His advantage over others in terms of the speed at which his cultivation level rose was due to his ability to devour Nirvana energy. He didn't need to refine those heavenly materials and earthly treasures into elixirs, and he could completely absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. As for ordinary dragon martial artists, even if they refined a heaven and earth treasure into a pill, they would only be able to absorb 20% to 30% of it. Moreover, in the process of refining the pill, the heaven and earth treasure's medicinal strength would also be lost by at least half. In other words, to Kang Xinmu, one heaven and earth treasure was equivalent to more than 10 of others. This was his greatest advantage. Right now, he had used his experience points to exchange for 15 heaven and earth treasures. They were all relatively suitable for his current cultivation level, so they were not too expensive and the amount of experience points he spent was not too much. He only needed about 2 months of experience points to exchange for these heaven and earth treasures. As for others, they would need at least 150 items to be able to break through, which would take about 2 years. This was also the difference. Of course, Kang Xinmu didn't think that he was heaven-defying now. Although he was powerful, he was still in the growth stage. There was still a long way to go before he became a true powerhouse. For half a month, Kang Xinmu constantly devoured those heavenly treasures. He devoured them directly, without the slightest process, and the absorption rate was 100%. This caused his cultivation level to increase rapidly, and after reaching a critical point, he felt as if he was about to break through. This was not only because he had absorbed these natural treasures, but mainly because of the hard training he had done previously, which had given him the foundation to improve. That was why he was able to achieve this in one go. Otherwise, it would not be so easy for him to improve his cultivation with just these natural treasures. When the feeling of breaking through arrived, Kang Xinmu used the East Emperor formation to make a trip back to the Dragon Emperor Palace. When he was near the Dragon's ceiling abyss, he made a breakthrough in his cultivation. With his current battle strength, breaking through to the next realm was not difficult at all. Not long after the Nirvana Tribulation Beast appeared, it was almost completely scattered by him. It did not have any battle strength at all. One must know that his current battle strength was comparable to the 7th or even 8th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. It was naturally not a problem to deal with a Nirvana Tribulation Beast at the 4th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. When he broke through to the 4th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, his basic strength had increased by at least 30%. This was almost equivalent to the second time he had been challenged in the Donghuang Dragon Martial Academy's competition, where he had been strengthened by the Dean's power. In fact, it was even more powerful than that. Moreover, this was not Kang Xinmu's biggest improvement this time. When he returned to Donghuang Yangwu College, he began to devour the other natural treasures he had exchanged this time to cultivate the chaotic dragon body. If it was said that cultivating a certain type of origin dragon martial skill might only require a certain kind of natural treasure. However, the chaotic dragon body was not so simple. This was a type of body refining type dragon martial skill that could allow a dragon martial artist to have resistance to every type of power once it was cultivated. Very few dragon martial artists paid attention to body refining type dragon martial skills now. However, to Kang Xinmu, the body refining type dragon martial skill was the most effective type of dragon martial skill. The key was that it was easier to cultivate than others, but correspondingly, it would be more painful. Of course, this degree of pain was nothing to Kang Xinmu. Wild Wind Sprout. Wildfire Scorching Rock. Phantom Star Sand. A total of 9 different types of natural treasures were collected by Kang Xinmu. Only Donghuang Yangwu College could have such a complete inventory. If it was any other place, it would not be so easy for him to collect such a set. This set of 9 different types of natural treasures basically included all types of dragon martial artists' attributes. Of course, some special ones were not included. For the next half a month, Kang Xinmu devoured one of the natural treasures every 2 days to integrate it into his body refining type dragon martial skill, the chaotic dragon body. When he had devoured all 9 types of natural treasures, his chaotic dragon body was equivalent to cultivating to the earth tier. This allowed his divine dragon body to have a 30% resistance against dragon warriors of all attributes. The strength of the chaotic dragon body was 3 times better than the chaotic dragon body that he had cultivated to the human tier. As for the specific effects, to put it simply, if he were to face the leader of the Golden Beam Cat Beasts again, he wouldn't need to devour the strength of the ordinary Beam Cat Beasts to strengthen his resistance, and he would be able to easily resist the attacks of the Golden Beam Cat Beasts. This was a major breakthrough. For Kang Xinmu, it meant that the defense of his divine dragon body was stronger, and it would be harder for him to die in the future. With my previous strength, it was still a little difficult for me to enter the Kaiyang district of Donghuang Yangwu College, or I should say that I was just passing, but now, if Donghuang Yangwu College holds another competition, I will definitely be able to enter the Kaiyang district. Kang Xinmu thought to himself. But this was not enough for him. His goal was not just the Kaiyang district, but the deeper regions. His final goal must be the Divine Center district, where only 3 people were qualified to stay. Of course, his current strength was still a little far from the Divine Center district. But with his current speed of improvement, he would soon be able to enter the first 3 districts. This year's goal is to enter at least the 4th district, the Migres district. That way, my goal next year will be to break through from Dragon King to Dragon Emperor. Chapter 4257. In a month's time, Jiang Shenwu had undergone a transformation that was akin to being reborn. His strength had more than doubled from before. His chaotic dragon body had been cultivated to the earth realm, causing his defense to increase explosively. Even the inheritors of the Dragon King, who were at the 9th stage of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, might not be able to hurt him. If he was allowed to devour some of his opponent's power, he might even dare to fight a Rebirth Tribulation realm existence head-on. Of course, if it was a higher-level Rebirth Tribulation realm existence, he would not be a match for them. Right now, he could at most try to fight against a first-stage Rebirth Tribulation realm existence, and he might not be able to defeat them. After all, he knew nothing about the Rebirth Tribulation realm. This realm was much stronger than the Nirvana Tribulation realm. After going through Nirvana and reincarnation, the strength of one's talent had increased by at least several times. Moreover, it was impossible for ordinary people to reach the Rebirth Tribulation realm. If one's combat strength was too low, they would not even be able to survive the Nirvana Tribulation, let alone the Rebirth Tribulation. Therefore, those who could survive the Rebirth Tribulation must be very strong. Kang Xinmu did not think too much about it. Rice had to be eaten one bite at a time, and a journey had to be taken one step at a time. He was already quite satisfied with such a huge improvement this month. There were still more than 10 months before the next Donghuang Yangwu College competition. During this period of time, he would be quite satisfied if he could have such an improvement twice in the following month. Just like before, Kang Xinmu continuously went to the Experience Stone Tablet to complete Donghuang Yangwu College's experience missions. These training missions were not difficult for him, because his strength had already surpassed his current status. In Donghuang Yangwu College, the levels were generally divided according to the cultivation area. The closer one was to the inner area to cultivate, the more difficult the experience missions would be. Naturally, the rewards would be higher as well. Therefore, the missions that Kang Xinmu had completed were not challenging at all. They were not even of any use to him. To him, they were purely for the sake of gaining experience points. Under such circumstances, his efficiency of gaining experience points did not increase much. After all, many training missions required him to find a target. Spending most of his time on the road made Kang Xinmu a little uncomfortable. He actually wanted to accept those more difficult experience missions. Completing one was equivalent to completing 2 normal experience missions. That would be more comfortable. Therefore, half a month ago, he had asked Lin Yuji to call him if there was any mission that was suitable for multiple people. After all, Lin Yuji was a student cultivating in Kaiyang District. The training missions she could receive were a level higher than those Kang Xinmu could receive. For example, it was Lin Yuji who had accepted the mission to find the Liang Cat Beast. If it had been any other student in the Alcade District, they wouldn't have been qualified to accept it. In other words, the mission of the Liang Cat Beast required a student from Kaiyang District to lead the team. This reflected the difficulty of the training mission. Now that Kang Xinmu's strength had completely reached the standard of Kaiyang District, he was qualified to go to Kaiyang District to cultivate. At least, Lin Yuji was no longer a match for Kang Xinmu. It was just that others didn't know yet. After Kaiyang District was Yuheng District. Kang Xinmu guessed that with his current strength, he shouldn't be too far away from the experts of Yuheng District. Even if he fought against the experts of Yuheng District, he wouldn't lose miserably. He definitely had the strength to fight. And most importantly, as long as he didn't kill Kang Xinmu in one hit, Kang Xinmu would never lose. Finally, after Kang Xinmu had saved up another month's worth of experience points, he had a total of 2 months' worth of experience points, which allowed him to exchange for many heaven and earth treasures. After absorbing all of them, he was not far from the 5th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. At this time, Lin Yuji sent him a message, asking him to go to the Experience Stone Tablet and participate in a more difficult experience mission with her. Kang Xinmu was excited, it was finally here. Now he was already at the 4th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, only a step away from the 5th level. The experience points from the previous 2 months had been used to exchange for heaven and earth treasures. What he needed now was an evenly matched battle, not more heaven and earth treasures. If he didn't have enough understanding of the 5th level, then no matter how many heaven and earth treasures he had, he still wouldn't be able to break through. That was purely because he wasn't mature enough. Therefore, there was a more difficult experience mission that was suitable for him to break through. So early the next morning, he went to the Experience Stone Tablet. In the clouds, he saw a man and a woman standing near the Trial Stone Tablet. They seemed to be discussing something. Lin Yuji's talent is not bad, it's very likely that in the next 2 competitions, she will be able to come to our Yuheng district to cultivate. So, this time, I'll bring her along to form a good relationship. The young man said indifferently. Brother Long, I think you're interested in her, right? The woman smiled and didn't care at all. It was obvious that she had no interest in the young man. Don't talk nonsense. The young man shook his head and said coldly, but Lin Yuji is a good person. To me, she's a good candidate for a wife. However, I heard that she also brought along a guy from the Yaoguang district. It's Kang Xinmu, who was seriously injured by her in the last competition. The woman chuckled, it said that Kang Xinmu went out with her and completed a difficult mission. The Sacred Abyss Dragon Country hasn't found out about it yet, and in the end, even the teachers were alerted. It said that Kang Xinmu's performance was even better than Lin Yuji's. Donghuang Yangwu College is a place where geniuses gather. The young man didn't have any special expression. Instead, he said indifferently, it's not unusual for 1 or 2 geniuses to appear. Many facts show that Kang Xinmu is also a talent. It just so happens that he's coming to this experience mission. Let's see how much he's grown. Maybe he's qualified to be my friend? The young man said with a smirk. Seeing him like this, the woman didn't say anything else, because she saw that in the sky behind her, Jiang Shenwu, who had transformed into a black divine dragon, was already nearby. Kang Xinmu is here. The woman pointed behind the young man with her lips. Lin Yuji is here too. The young man looked behind the woman. The 4 of them gathered together. Since it was a 4-person mission, they needed to have a certain level of understanding and trust between each other. At the very least, their strength had to match, and they couldn't be too weak. Otherwise, they wouldn't be of any use in the training mission, and would only be a burden. The fact that Kang Xinmu and Lin Yuji joined them meant that they recognized their strength, or at least their talent. They were willing to help them. Kang Xinmu, we meet again. Lin Yuji appeared behind them in human form and smiled at Kang Xinmu. Kang Xinmu naturally heard the conversation between the young man and the woman. Fortunately, they didn't seem to be hostile toward him. Chapter 42-58. Luo Han and Su Qin were the names of the young man and girl. Both of them came from Donghuang Yangwu College in Kaiyang District and were at the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Most importantly, they had the essence blood of the Divine Dragon. They had broken through to the Dragon King level a long time ago. People like them had better control of the Nirvana force and the essence blood of the Divine Dragon. Even Kang Xinmu might not be a match for them. Most importantly, they might have spent more than 10 years in Donghuang Yangwu College. This amount of time was sufficient for their attainments in the Origin Dragon martial techniques to far surpass Jiang Shenwu's level. Of course, Kang Shinmu was their comrade in arms anyway. At most, they would fight against each other in the college tournament. By then, Kang Shinmu would have definitely surpassed them, so there was no need to be too concerned. This mission is located in the nearby Yen Yuan Dragon Country. After everyone had arrived, Luo Han began to introduce the mission and said in a deep voice, "This mission can be said to be difficult, but it can also be said to be simple. The Yen Yuan Dragon Country has recently been attacked by a demonic beast. It is a demonic fish that can fly in the sky. It is characterized by its strong attack, fast speed, and strong senses. As long as there is a slight disturbance, the demonic beast will immediately flee and will not fight the dragon martial artists head-on. When the surrounding area is safe, the demonic beast will appear again to hunt the human civilians of the Yen Yuan Dragon Country." This introduction confused Kang Shinmu. Even if the students of Donghuang Yangwu College were to deal with this demonic beast, they might not be able to kill it. After all, the demonic beast was too vigilant. Once something stronger than it appeared, it would immediately flee. It even had a special ability to escape. It would definitely not be easy to catch it. However, Lin Yuji seemed to have come to a sudden realization. "I see. So, we need to use the concealing water that Donghuang Yangwu College can brew." Concealing water? Kang Shinmu was even more confused. The hidden water is something that only our Donghuang Yangwu College can brew. The young man, Luo Han, glanced at him and explained, "After we're covered in the concealing liquid, it won't hide our tracks, but rather our true strength. It is said that if an expert on the level of Dragon Emperor comes near, the flying fish beast will immediately flee. If it's at the level of the Dragon King, as long as it's above the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, it will immediately escape. And after we're tainted with the concealment water, we'll be able to maintain our auras at around the 3rd level of the Nirvana Tribulation stage. In this way, as long as the flying fish beast becomes interested in us and attacks us, we'll be able to find an opportunity to kill it." Hearing this, Kang Shinmu finally understood the situation. In the end, the Yen Yuan Longwa really couldn't deal with the hornfish beast. Even though the Yen Yuan Longwa had experts on the level of Dragon Emperor and even many Rebirth Tribulation Realm experts, their auras were too strong. Once they got close, the flying fish beast would flee. According to Luo Han, the Yen Yuan Longwa had even launched several encirclements against the flying fish beast, but it had always managed to escape. Therefore, they had no choice but to seek help from Donghuang Yangwu College. Because Donghuang Yangwu College had something like the concealing water, it would obviously be easier to deal with the flying fish beast. The concealing water was unique to Donghuang Yangwu College, and it wasn't for sale. Therefore, they could only rely on the students of Donghuang Yangwu College to do it. The flying fish beast's true strength was equivalent to a 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm Dragon King's inheritor. Therefore, on the Experience Stone tablet, this mission could only be accepted by students from Kaiyang District. In addition, the flying fish beast is cunning. Once it discovers that something is amiss, it is very likely to flee, so we need a way to trap it. At this point, the young man Luo Han looked at Kang Shinmu and said, "Kang Shinmu, it is said that your divine dragon body is very strong, and you cultivate a body-tempering dragon martial technique. Do you think you can withstand the flying fish beast's attack?" This was very important, and was also the main reason why Luo Han and Su Qin agreed to let Kang Shinmu participate in this mission. Because if they used a defensive dragon martial technique to block the flying fish beast's attack, it was very likely that the flying fish beast would immediately discover that something was amiss and flee. But if it was Kang Shinmu, this problem wouldn't exist. The body-tempering dragon martial technique made his divine dragon body extremely strong, and he could even withstand the flying fish beast's attack with just his physical body alone. Not only could he withstand it, but he could also prevent the flying fish beast from detecting any abnormalities. And when its attack landed on Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body, in such a close distance, Kong Shinmu could then think of a way to trap the flying fish beast. Against the anglerfish beast, all kinds of array formations and props were useless. This was because the flying fish beast seemed to be able to travel through space, and even some formations that could trap experts would not be able to trap it. To be honest, even if the mission was handed over to Donghuang Yangwu College, the people from Yenyuan Dragon Country were not very confident that they could deal with the flying fish beast. Even the young man Luo Han and Su Qin only wanted to give it a try, and did not have 100% confidence. But now that they heard about Kong Shinmu from Lin Yuji, they felt that the chances of success were higher this time. Because there were too few dragon martial artists who cultivated a body-tempering dragon martial technique. In the whole of Donghuang Yangwu College, Kong Shinmu was probably the only one. Resist the flying fish beast's attack. When Kong Shinmu heard this, his face darkened. I don't know if it will work, but as long as the flying fish beast doesn't kill me in one attack, I can trap it. With the physical strength of the divine dragon body, he could capture the flying fish beast. If he captured its body, it would not be able to use its ability to escape. This was the only way to capture the flying fish beast. The other way was to use the concealment water to get close to it and kill it in a flash. But the possibility of this was extremely low. If it was possible, the Yenyuan Dragon Country would not be so helpless. Although they did not have the concealment water, they still had many powerful dragon martial artists who could attack from a distance. One could imagine that the flying fish beast was really as timid as a mouse. Of course, in order to survive, it could only be as timid as a mouse. Before we set off, I want to understand the flying fish beast. If I make sufficient preparations, I should be able to do it. Kong Shinmu concluded. He was not sure if he could withstand a single attack from the flying fish beast. Chapter 42-59. Since Kong Shinmu said so, Luo Han and Su Qin were satisfied. Anyway, as long as Kong Shinmu said it was okay, then it was okay. The most important point of this mission was Kong Shinmu, not them. Kong Shinmu was indispensable, and the other three, no matter who it was, would be fine. Then, the four of them agreed to set off the next day. Then, the four of them went to search for information about the horned fish beast. Because Kong Shinmu's palace was located in the Alcade district, it was the closest to the East Emperor Formation, so they all went to Kong Shinmu's palace. In Donghuang Yangwu College, every student's palace had a library, and the books in the library recorded a lot of common knowledge about monsters, cultivation, and so on. The four of them came together and quickly found information about the horned fish beast. This is a dark attribute monster, Kong Shinmu, you can prepare in advance. If you're not sure, you can take some enhancement elixirs to resist the dark attribute. Luo Han and Su Qin said to Kong Shinmu with a smile. Kong Shinmu nodded. Although he said so, in fact, Kong Shinmu naturally would not prepare that kind of enhancement elixir. After all, that kind of enhancement elixir not only did not have a strong effect, but it also had a certain side effect. If taken too much, it would be detrimental to future cultivation. Moreover, Kong Shinmu had his own means. After looking for information, Luo Han and Su Qin left together. Lin Yuji originally wanted to stay with Kong Shinmu for the night, running errands with him. But there were many things about Kong Shinmu that she could not know, so Kong Shinmu sent her away. After everyone left, Kong Shinmu went to the East Emperor Formation alone. In the East Emperor Formation, he chose a destination, spent a small amount of experience points, and instantly teleported to a dark forest. This dark forest was a suitable place for new students to train. In this dark forest, there were all kinds of dark attribute monsters, usually used for new students to practice their newly learned dragon skills. But now, it became the best place for Kong Shinmu to enhance his resistance to darkness. At night, the sounds of insects could be heard everywhere in the gloomy jungle. Occasionally, there would be the sounds of battle. There were students of the Eastern Emperor Dragon Martial Academy who were experimenting with their newly learned dragon martial skills. And Kong Shinmu directly turned into a black dragon and flew towards the depths of the dark forest. Usually, there weren't many students from the Eastern Emperor Dragon Martial Academy that came to Gloomy Jungle. Therefore, the demonic beasts in Gloomy Jungle were considered to be living normally in this jungle and wouldn't be too vigilant. Moreover, the purpose of Kong Shinmu coming here was not to kill the beasts, but to be beaten up by them. Just like that, he wandered aimlessly through the dark and dense forest, acting as if he wasn't vigilant at all. Not long after, when he stopped at an empty space in the dense forest, he felt that some powerful monsters had already secretly surrounded him. He simply pretended that he did not notice, stopped in the forest, and started to rest. Immediately, 3 shadow cheetahs pounced towards him, like 3 black arrows, directly shooting towards Kong Shinmu's black dragon body. Towards dragon martial artists, demonic beasts originally had some natural hatred in their hearts. In addition, the most important thing was that Kong Shinmu's cultivation was only at the 4th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, which made the surrounding demonic beasts want to kill Kong Shinmu. There were many demonic beasts, and endless shadow power swept towards Kong Shinmu. Unfortunately, this level of power was not a threat to Kong Shinmu at all. He just stayed where he was, not moving at all, and only covered his black dragon body with the devouring nirvana force. When the shadow power fell on Kong Shinmu, it was completely devoured by Kong Shinmu, and turned into his own resistance against the dark power. The clever lupus fish beast's attack was extremely strong. Even the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, who had inherited the essence blood of the Dragon King, would be injured by it. However, its defense was very poor, so Kong Shinmu only needed to resist its attack once, and then suppress it, and the others could directly eliminate it at the fastest speed. Therefore, Kong Shinmu needed to be prepared in advance, lest he failed miserably. Although he had improved a lot recently, the opponents he faced were much more ferocious than before. The instantaneous explosive power of the lupus fish beast was probably several times stronger than the golden beam cat beast he encountered before. At this moment, in the dark jungle, Kong Shinmu was constantly being beaten by demonic beasts. Moreover, because he did not fight back, the number of demonic beasts that came to beat him increased. Unfortunately, no matter how those demonic beasts attacked, Kong Shinmu's divine dragon body was still towering like a mountain. These demonic beasts did not know that their power had all become Kong Shinmu's nourishment. After cultivating the chaotic dragon body to the earth stage, Kong Shinmu's resistance against the dark power had increased a lot, and now that he was devouring more and more dark power, it made him an impregnable existence when facing opponents with the dark attribute. The night was getting darker and darker, until the sky gradually brightened, and the next morning arrived. Kong Shinmu's divine dragon body stretched on the spot. This action made the large group of dark demonic beasts that were beating him retreat into the dark jungle and hide as if they had seen a ghost. They could not understand how this dragon warrior could be so powerful, and even sleep while they were beating and attacking him. Moreover, this dragon warrior was clearly only at the 4th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. His cultivation level was very low. No matter how they thought about it, this was the truth. When Kong Shinmu woke up, these demonic beasts scattered like birds and did not dare to stay here. Kong Shinmu sensed his own situation and was immediately satisfied. Not to mention the Dragon King who was at the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. Even if it was a Dragon Emperor expert of this level, as long as the power he used was of the dark attribute, he would not be able to hurt Kong Shinmu at all. After being beaten up for an entire night, Kong Shinmu's resistance to the dark power had reached its peak. Perhaps, only a reincarnation Tribulation Realm expert at the level of the Dragon Emperor would have the possibility of hurting Kong Shinmu. Of course, this was only limited to experts of the dark attribute. Otherwise, the power of other attributes would still be a strong threat to Kong Shinmu. When everything was ready, he returned to the place where the East Emperor Formation teleported from and teleported back to the East Emperor Formation of Donghuang Yangwu College. He directly waited at the East Emperor Formation. After about an hour, Luo Han and Su Qin finally brought Lin Yuji and rushed towards the East Emperor Formation. Chapter 4260. Jianyuan Dragon Country. Luo Han, Su Qin, Kong Xinmu, and Lin Yuji teleported to this dragon country through the East Emperor Formation. Jianyuan Dragon Country was 3 Dragon Emperor countries away from Donghuang Yangwu College, so it was considered a relatively close country. In this Dragon Emperor country, there were a total of 5 Dragon Emperor level experts. When Kong Xinmu and the others arrived, there were actually 3 Dragon Emperor experts coming to greet them. It was really a matter that even their Dragon Emperor couldn't solve, so they had to ask for help from Donghuang Yangwu College. "You're finally here." The 3 Dragon Emperors, when seeing Kong Xinmu and the others, were very humble. After all, they were asking for help. "Take us to the scene of the incident." Among the 4, Luo Han took the lead. Without any small talk, he directly proposed to deal with the anglerfish beast. To be honest, the anglerfish beast appears in a different place every time. We also don't know where it is now. One of the Dragon Emperor experts said in a low voice, then said with some difficulty, "But we roughly know the strength of this hornfish beast, and the habits of the hornfish beast. The stronger the dragon martialist, the more it likes to eat. If we want to lure it out, the best way is to let the dragon martialist whose strength is closest to that line lure it out. This anglerfish beast is probably at the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. The purity of its demon beast bloodline is equivalent to the Dragon King's inherited blood essence. Generally speaking, if it is a 5th level Nirvana Tribulation realm dragon warrior, it is its favorite food. If it is a 6th level dragon warrior, it will be very careful. Hearing this, Luo Han nodded. "We will pretend to be a 3rd level Nirvana Tribulation realm dragon warrior to lure it closer. Once it gets close, you have to find a way to suppress it, otherwise it will slip away." One of the Dragon Emperor reminded. "That's no problem." This question was answered by Kong Xinmu. The 4 Dragon Emperor glanced at Kong Xinmu, all of them looking a little surprised. They saw that Kong Xinmu was only at the 4th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. They did not know if he had already used the effect of the concealment water. If he had already used the effect of the concealing water, then Kong Xinmu's cultivation realm would at least be at the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, or even the 1st level of the Rebirth Tribulation realm. But Kong Xinmu seemed to be following behind Luo Han and the others. The Dragon Emperor's experts observed their expressions and found that among the 4 of them, it was obvious that Luo Han was the leader. Kong Xinmu was only following behind and following orders. In other words, his true cultivation was at the 4th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. With this kind of strength, he also came to participate in the battle against the horned fish beasts. For a moment, the 4 Dragon Emperor's experts were a little displeased. They felt that this was Donghuang Yangwu College and not taking them seriously, not taking the Luo fish beast seriously. Even the Dragon Emperor's experts could not solve the problem. What use could this little Nirvana Tribulation realm 4th level Dragon King come over? The most important thing was that Kong Xinmu had just answered that there was no problem, and it was directed at them, reminding them to suppress the Luo fish beast. Could it be that this kid had a way to suppress the Luo fish beast? They always felt that it was too childish. But since they were already here, they couldn't possibly chase them away. They could only let them be. Anyway, if the horned fish beast was not dealt with, then what? Anyway, if the Luo fish beast was not solved, they had the right to apply to Donghuang Yangwu College and ask them to send more reliable people. There was still a possibility of failure in Donghuang Yangwu College's training mission, and the number of failures was not small. Every time this happened, they would ask Donghuang Yangwu College to send more powerful people, and if the students could not solve the problem, the tutors would step in, all in all, as long as they sent a mission to Donghuang Yonggu College, there would rarely be a situation where they could not complete it. Solving the problem was almost a certainty. Next, they began to make arrangements. The 4 Dragon Emperor's experts gathered together, took out a map, and handed it to Luo Han and the others. On this map, the location of the horned fish beast's every appearance is marked. As for whether we can rely on this to find it or lure it out, it will be up to you. I hope that the next time the horned fish beast appears, it will be captured by you. The 4 Dragon Emperor's experts had a headache. Because every time the Luo fish beast appeared, a Nirvana Tribulation Realm Dragon King or a Reincarnation Realm Heavenly Dragon expert would be killed, and even several of them would die at once. The Luo fish beast had appeared a total of 7 times, and the Jian Yuan Dragon Country had already suffered heavy losses. Luo Han took the map and began to search for the location of the Luo fish beast on the map, trying to find a pattern. We will go to the center of these places. There is a Tianyang village there, and there are relatively few powerful dragon martial artists. Luo Han quickly pointed to a place on the map and said, "If we go there, we will easily attract the Luo fish beast's attention. As long as it is nearby, it will likely target us." "I agree." Su Qin nodded and studied the map carefully. She also felt that it was better to lure it there. "Lin Yuji, Kong Shinmu, what do you think?" Luo Han did not make an arbitrary decision, but passed the map to Kong Shinmu and Lin Yuji to observe. Kong Shinmu glanced at it, but did not think much of it. Now that they had no clue where the Luo fish beast was, they could only go to the center of the circle where the Luo fish beast appeared every time to lure it. "I think we can." In the end, Kong Shinmu and Lin Yuji also nodded in agreement. Thus, the plan was decided. The entire Yan Yuan Dragon Country was relatively large. Under the guidance of the Dragon Emperor, the 4 flew towards Tianyang village. It would take them about a day and a half to arrive. In the last half day, the Dragon Emperor did not lead the way. "The 4 of you can go on your own. If our Dragon Emperor appears nearby, the Luo fish beast will definitely not take the bait." Luo Han nodded. Seeing the 4 of them fly towards Tianyang village, the 2 Dragon Emperor experts looked at each other and saw a kind of helplessness in each other's eyes. This time, they really felt that the hope was not high. If all 4 of them are at the 9th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, the hope would be higher. But they brought an 8th level Nirvana Tribulation Realm, and even a 4th level Nirvana Tribulation Realm. Does that kid have something to do with it? Who knows? The other Dragon Emperor shook his head. It was obvious that he also had some opinions about Kong Shinmu. A mere 4th level Nirvana Tribulation Realm coming to join in the fun would probably be bitten to death by the Luo fish beast. However, they did not say anything on the surface. They were just worried that they would not succeed this time. If they did not succeed, it meant that the Yan Yuan Dragon Country would suffer more casualties. Chapter 4261. Tianyang Village. This was a small village with only 200 people, belonging to a dragon warrior tribe. They chose this village as the bait because it was sparsely populated, and if a fight broke out, it wouldn't cause too much damage and harm the people. When Kong Shinmu and the rest arrived at the village, it was evening. There was only one inn in the entire village, and it was located on the side of the official road. There was no need to talk about the decorations, and naturally, it wasn't that particular. However, Kong Shinmu and the rest were here to deal with the horned fish beast, so they couldn't be picky about the environment. They stayed at the inn, and the lady boss of the inn was still charming, and was very warm to them. It was obvious that there were few outsiders in this village, and even fewer dragon warriors. Needless to say, there were a few young dragon warriors, and their auras were extremely extraordinary. They weren't ordinary dragon warriors. How could the lady boss dare to be negligent? They asked for a total of 2 rooms, and for convenience, Kang Xinmu and Luo Han stayed together, while Lin Yuji and Su Qin shared a room. Even at night, they didn't sleep, and were constantly vigilant of their surroundings. Unfortunately, after a night, nothing strange happened in Tianyang village. Kang Xinmu and the rest watched for a night without any results. Not to mention the horned fish beast, they didn't even see the shadow of a demon beast. Let's stay another day. Luo Han made a decision. According to the frequency of the horned fish beast's appearance, it should appear once every 7 days. It's only been 5 days since it last appeared, so we can wait for another 2 to 3 days. This speculation was very reasonable, and Kang Xinmu also agreed. They stayed in Tianyang village. Fortunately, they were all dragon warriors with higher cultivation, so it wouldn't be a big deal even if they didn't rest for a few nights, but their mental state would be slightly worse. The lady boss was very happy that they continued to stay, and took the initiative to send them food the next day. To be honest, the taste was not bad. Kang Xinmu didn't stay idle during this period of time either. The horned fish beast always appeared at night, so at night, the 4 of them were in the same cultivation state. During the day, Kang Xinmu found a quiet corner and squatted there. He swallowed the heavenly materials and earthly treasures that he hadn't absorbed in a while ago and continued to improve his cultivation. If I can complete this mission, I will have enough experience points to exchange for more natural treasures and cultivate my chaotic dragon body all the way to dragon grade. Even if one had sufficient natural treasures, it would be very difficult to raise the level of a body-tempering dragon martial technique. This was because the body-tempering dragon martial technique required the user to be continuously injured, then recover, get injured again, and recover again. It was the same for the chaotic dragon body. Previously, when Kang Xinmu was cultivating, it was not very obvious. Because it had been too long since he had cultivated to the earth rank, his previous injuries could be considered as cultivating the chaotic dragon body. He had long reached the bottleneck. After devouring so many treasures of heaven and earth a while ago, he took the opportunity to rise to the earth tier. However, if he wanted to break through to the dragon realm, it wouldn't be so easy. Apart from needing to absorb all kinds of heavenly treasures, he would also need to keep getting injured, recovering, getting injured again, and recovering again. Xiao Chun had to repeat this countless times before his primal chaos dragon body could break through to a higher level. This time, dealing with the horned fish beast was also an opportunity. Anyway, as long as Kang Xinmu didn't die, he could rely on the devouring power to quickly heal himself. Even if he was seriously injured and on the verge of death, it would be more beneficial for him to cultivate the chaotic dragon body. As such, until the 3rd night, Kang Xinmu and Luo Han were on guard in a room. Suddenly, Kang Xinmu seemed to have sensed something and quietly looked out the window. It seems like it's here. Kang Xinmu suddenly became a little nervous. However, he glanced at Luo Han, who was lying on the bed motionless, not even opening his eyes, as if he didn't notice anything. His hiding ability is better than mine. Kang Xinmu felt a little ashamed. He felt that Luo Han must have sensed something, but he didn't show anything strange, unlike Kang Xinmu who looked out the window. However, what Kang Xinmu didn't know was that Luo Han didn't sense anything at all and was still on guard. As for why Kang Xinmu could sense it, it was because he had the aura of the horned ink beast on him. The horned ink beast had always been on his body, in his shadow. In terms of hiding ability, the horned ink beast was much better than the horned fish beast. So when the horned fish beast appeared, even though it was very cautious and didn't make any movements, it was still sensed by the horned ink beast. Then, the horned ink beast reminded Kang Xinmu. Unfortunately, Kang Xinmu didn't know that the horned ink beast had followed him all the way here. If this little fellow hid, no one would know where it was. It could appear at any time and anywhere. At this moment, the horned ink beast's perception was divided into half for Kang Xinmu. This made Kang Xinmu feel more and more strange. because he realized that it could easily sense the movements outside. It slowly snuck into Tianyang village, but there was no movement at all, and it was getting closer and closer to their inn. What made Kang Xinmu feel strange was that not only was there no movement, even Luo Han and the two female students next door didn't move at all. But he could sense it. What's going on? He quickly realized that the movement went all the way to the inn and flew up from the back. It actually stuck to the wall and snuck into the room the two female students were in. It's coming, be careful. Kang Xinmu finally decided to take action. He instantly jumped out of the window and transformed into his black divine dragon form. On the wall outside the window, a huge black shadow stuck to the wall. It wanted to quickly sneak into the room and attack the two female students, but Kang Xinmu suddenly appeared and gave it a fright. That thing was indeed the horned ink beast. It was a flying fish with a pair of wings. Its body was flat and its eyes were cold and alert. When Kang Xinmu appeared, it reacted immediately. It turned back and a wave of shadow attribute energy landed on Kang Xinmu's black dragon body along with its teeth. This horned ink beast had the combat power of a 9th-level Nirvana Tribulation Realm cultivator, so it wasn't afraid of Kang Xinmu at all. After all, Luo Han and Su Qin had used the concealment water and felt that they were only at the 3rd level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. As for Lin Yuji, it was even lower, only at the 2nd level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. Originally, the horned ink beast wanted to attack the two weaker female students, but it didn't expect that Kang Xinmu would be so alert and run out. Even so, it wasn't afraid. After all, Kang Xinmu was only at the 4th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. What's going on? Chapter 4262. Luo Han, Su Qin, and Lin Yuji came to their senses and realized that the morel fish beast had attacked without warning. They broke out in cold sweat as they watched the morel fish beast attack Kang Xinmu's black dragon form. If not for Kang Xinmu's timely transformation into a dragon, they would have died today. Even if they used the concealment water and their strength far exceeded the morel fish beast's expectations, once they were attacked by the morel fish beast from the dark, even they would most likely suffer severe injuries. Moreover, the morel fish beast would definitely notice that something was wrong and flee. By then, their efforts these few days would have been in vain. But they were not in a hurry. After all, the morel fish beast had just launched its attack on Kang Xinmu and Kang Xinmu had not restrained the morel fish beast yet. Once they revealed their true strength, the morel fish beast would probably turn and flee. At this moment, they were all looking out the window from inside the room. The two black behemoths finally collided with each other. A terrifying force swept out and an endless storm erupted in all directions. The entire Tianyang village was shaken by the impact of both sides. When the dust settled, Luo Han, Su Qin, and Lin Yuji were extremely nervous. They fixed their eyes on the battlefield and were instantly overjoyed. Because they saw that the giant flying fish, the black morel fish beast, had actually bitten Kang Xinmu's black dragon form. Endless darkness attribute energy enveloped Kang Xinmu's body, causing him to be covered in divine dragon blood as though he was seriously injured. In reality, Kang Xinmu's injuries were only superficial wounds. He had gone to the gloomy jungle to devour too much darkness attribute energy, causing his divine dragon body to be extremely resistant to darkness attribute energy. At this moment, the morel fish beast's most important attack was the corrosive power of darkness attribute energy. They were all superficial wounds and could not break through his black dragon skin to corrode his body. Instead, Kang Xinmu made his move, using his dragon claws to clamp down on the morel fish beast's body tightly. His devouring power instantly erupted and enveloped the other party's entire body. Got him. Let's go. Kang Xinmu let out a loud roar, and the voice of a divine dragon spread thousands of miles away. How could Luo Han, Su Qin, and Lin Yuji hesitate. They made a prompt decision to unleash the formidable power that originally belonged to them, the 9th and 8th tier of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, in addition to the powerful origin dragon martial skill that the three of them had cultivated. A terrifying destructive force swept out like a storm, bombarding the body of the loach fish beast. When they started to explode, the manta rays sensed that something was wrong and wanted to escape. However, its entire body was firmly gripped by Kang Shinmu's dragon claws. Moreover, the devouring power had also affected its abilities, making it unable to break free no matter how it struggled. Immediately, the three origin-source dragon martial skills bombarded the flying fish beast's body, instantly penetrating its fragile body. The reason why the horned fish beast was so cautious was because of its fragility. If it wasn't careful, it would have long died in the hands of unknown people. Although its offensive ability had reached the level of the 9th tier of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, its defensive ability could not even be compared to the 1st tier of the Nirvana Tribulation realm Dragon King. Because it had no defensive means at all, and dragon martial artists could still cultivate defensive dragon martial skills. In the next moment, the flying fish beast's body was broken into 3 pieces. Countless pieces of flesh and blood splattered to the ground, and the smell of blood quickly spread in all directions. It's done. Luo Han and the others all breathed a sigh of relief. They didn't expect it to be so smooth, to actually kill the target in one go. Lin Yuji immediately came in front of Kang Shinmu and supported Kang Shinmu, who had returned to human form. Kang Shinmu, how are you alright? I'm fine. I'll be fine after a few days of rest. Kang Shinmu said with a smile. There was still some blood at the corner of his mouth. Luo Han and Su Qin also came up. They had some admiration for Kang Shinmu. Kang Shinmu, your physique is amazing, and we didn't even notice that guy approaching. How did you find out? I don't know, I just felt a killing intent coming, so I became vigilant and really found that guy. Kang Shinmu shook his head and didn't say anything. Even he himself didn't know why he could feel the horned fish beast approaching. Right now, he didn't even know that the horned fish beast had been following him. Kang Shinmu, you did the best in this experiential learning mission. You can take half of the mission's points, and the rest will be divided among the 3 of us. Su Qin's eyes rippled. She glanced at Lin Yuji and Luo Han and asked, what do the 2 of you think? I think there's no problem. Lin Yuji immediately expressed, a smile on her face. The way she looked at Kang Shinmu was a little different. She originally thought that Kang Shinmu was very strong. But now it seemed that Kang Shinmu's strength was far beyond her imagination. Not only could he block the horned fish beast's attack, they had never cultivated a body-tempering dragon martial skill. They didn't know how strong his physique was to be able to do that. But the key was that he was able to detect the horned fish beast's tracks in advance without the other 3 noticing. If not for Kang Shinmu's early detection, between Lin Yuji and Su Qin, at least one of them would have been seriously injured. Luo Han narrowed her eyes, then nodded, yes, I also agree. When we go back, we can describe the details of the mission in detail, otherwise, I'm afraid the mentor will not agree to this method of distribution. That's right, the mentor might think that we've received some benefits from Kang Shinmu. Lin Yuji also burst into laughter. As for the carcass of the horned fish beast and the frightened civilians of Tianyang village, Kang Shinmu and the others naturally didn't need to take care of it. This was the Yen Yuan Dragon Country's own matter, it was just a small matter to them. When the Dragon Emperor from the Yen Yuan Dragon Country came over and saw the carcass of the horned fish beast, he immediately gave Luo Han a thumbs up. The students of Donghuang Yangwu College are really amazing, admirable. This mission was all thanks to our brother Kang Shinmu. Luo Han was more humble, he didn't take the credit. If not for him, we wouldn't have been able to kill this beast so easily. What? The few dragon emperors looked at each other, they could all see the shock in each other's eyes. It was actually this Nirvana Tribulation 4th stage kid who contributed the most? This, the few dragon emperors almost didn't dare to believe it. But regardless of whether they believed it or not, Kang Xinmu wouldn't have anything to do with them from now on, unless he came back to the Yen Yuan Dragon Country for the mission, otherwise he really wouldn't see them for the rest of his life. After completing the mission, as expected, Kang Xinmu received half of the entire mission's points. Chapter 4263. Donghuang Longwu City. Kang Xinmu exchanged all his experience points for cultivation resources and then came to the charming inn. Princess Fire Phoenix and Ran immediately surrounded him. "We don't have enough cultivation resources now. When we have more in the future, I'll prepare some for you." Kang Xinmu still came back to see them every once in a while. Their cultivation speed was very fast, especially the Fire Phoenix Princess. Her cultivation realm was simply increasing with each passing day. As for Ran, she was cultivating Jiang Shenwu's Void Dragon raising Heaven Break, and her progress was also extremely fast. It could be seen that the two girls' cultivation talent was very high, but they were delayed before. Princess Fire Phoenix was delayed by her father. As for Ran, she was brought to the assassin organization and only practiced killing methods. She rarely improved her combat strength. If not, Kang Xinmu might not have been able to subdue her. Of course, Ran was very attached to her now. As long as Kang Xinmu came back, Ran would not even go to cultivate and would stick to Kang Xinmu. Kang Xinmu was also very helpless about this. He couldn't just drive her away, right? After staying at the charming inn for a day, Kang Xinmu planned to leave and return to Donghuang Yangwu College to cultivate. Just then, a beautiful figure appeared at the entrance of their courtyard. Yu Tianchang, who looked like a goddess, smiled and leaned on the mahogany door. "Brother Jiang, I heard that you stole the limelight when you did a mission with 2 students from Yuheng District. How did you know?" Kang Xinmu was a little puzzled. "It's spreading like wildfire in the college now. Everyone says that you can go to Kaiyang District next year. Among all the students, you can be considered a first-class genius." Yu Tianchang covered her mouth and said with a chuckle. Kang Xinmu smiled and did not deny anything. In fact, if the college competition was held next year, his goal would at least be Yuheng District, not simply Kaiyang District. Kang Xinmu even planned to go deeper into the cultivation area to cultivate. After the Yuheng District was the Migres District, and after the Migres District was the Tianji District. Of course, it was not so easy to reach the Tianshu District where only the strongest experts could go, just like Yu Tianchang. After bidding farewell to Yu Tianchang and the other 2 women, Kang Xinmu returned to his palace in Donghuang Yangwu College. He was not in a hurry to raise the grade of the divine dragon blood essence, because it was more important for him to raise his combat power. In any case, there was less than a year before the next Donghuang Yangwu College tournament. During this time, unless he absorbed the dragon mark's energy freely, he would not make much progress in this aspect. However, he didn't dare to crazily absorb the dragon mark's energy. Once he revealed his devouring power, he would be in great trouble. Therefore, Kang Xinmu now focused on improving other aspects of his combat power. For example, his cultivation realm, dragon martial skills, and most importantly, his body refining dragon martial skills. After completing the Hornless Fish Beast mission this time, the treasures of heaven and earth he exchanged for were enough for him to cultivate his chaotic dragon body to the dragon level, which would raise his resistance to various types of power to a new level. His defensive power would be even more terrifying than before. However, to cultivate his chaotic dragon body to the dragon level, in addition to absorbing those treasures of heaven and earth, he also needed to constantly get injured and then recover. This requirement was a bit high. The key was that there were not many people who could hurt Kang Xinmu now. Who should I look for? If Kang Xinmu wanted to cultivate this way, he would definitely expose his method of rapid recovery, so he had to find someone he could completely trust. This reminded him of a person, and that was Ran Ran. Whether it was Yu Tianchang, Lin Yuji, or Chu Yi, he did not fully trust any of them. However, only Ran Ran and the Fire Phoenix Princess were people he could completely trust. There was no need to talk about the Fire Phoenix Princess. The grade of her divine dragon blood essence was not bad, but her cultivation realm was too low, and she had barely cultivated to the divine martial arts realm. It was not that her talent was not good, but the time she had started cultivating was too short. However, Ran Ran was different. Ran Ran's strength was similar to Kang Xinmu's, not to mention that her talent was outstanding, and she had already cultivated the Void Dragon Sky-raising break to the dragon level. Coupled with her cultivation realm of the 7th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, she could completely injure Kang Xinmu. Then the key question was what Kang Xinmu relied on to recover from his injuries. Previously, during the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, Kang Xinmu relied on the energy of demon cores, but Donghuang Yangwu College could not exchange for demon cores. Could it be that I have to go to the Donghuang Dragon Martial City's trading house to buy it? At the thought of this, Kang Xinmu knew that he could only do this. He did not have any Donghuang Dragon Martial coins on him, but it was relatively easy for him to obtain them. In any case, he had cultivated the Void Dragon Sky-raising break to the heaven level, so he could write down a cultivation manual and exchange it for some Donghuang Dragon Martial coins. If it was someone else who wanted to sell a Dragon Martial skill manual, the procedure would be rather complicated, and they would need to go through various verifications. First, they had to ensure that the Dragon Martial skill manual was harmless to the cultivator, and second, they had to determine the grade of the Dragon Martial skill manual. All the verifications would probably take more than a month. Kang Xinmu could not wait that long. Fortunately, he was a student of Donghuang Yangwu College. As long as he was a student of Donghuang Yangwu College, there was no need for these two verifications. In any case, if something happened to the cultivator, he could find someone else. Unless the student of Donghuang Yangwu College was dead, they could definitely be found, especially if there was a problem. Therefore, Kang Xinmu's identity as a student was still very useful to him. Of course, he could not sell too many Void Dragon Sky-raising break manuals at once. After all, if he did that, it would not be long before the whole world would be cultivating this Dragon Martial skill. He might even be beaten to death by this Dragon Martial skill. Therefore, for the sale of Dragon Martial skill manuals, many people were extremely careful. Unless it was a last resort, very few people would sell Dragon Martial skill manuals to exchange for resources. But Kang Xinmu had no other choice, so he could only do this. Most importantly, the Void Dragon Sky-raising break was not learned from Donghuang Yangwu College, so Kang Xinmu had the right to record it down and sell it. If it was a Dragon Martial skill manual from Donghuang Yangwu College, then it was not for sale. If he was found to be selling the Academy's manuals, he would definitely be punished. A Void Dragon Raising Heaven Break Dragon Martial Technique secret manual could sell for a sky-high price. Chapter 4264. According to his own cultivation experience, Kang Xinmu wrote down a Void Dragon Raising the Heavens cultivation manual. With this manual, he could exchange for a large number of demonic cores, which he could swallow to recover from his injuries. Not only could it be used during cultivation, but it could also be used in battles. Most importantly, it only took him 3 days to write down this Void Dragon Raising the Heavens cultivation manual. To Kang Xinmu, this was the most efficient method. After writing it down, Kang Xinmu went to a random trading house in the East Imperial Dragon Martial City to exchange this manual for demonic cores. Among these Yao cores, apart from the ordinary Yao cores, there were even heavenly Yao cores and some even more powerful Yao cores. With so many demonic cores, it was enough for Kang Xinmu to cultivate his chaotic dragon body to the dragon grade. He might even be able to cultivate to the heaven grade. As long as Kang Xinmu had enough cultivation resources. If he succeeded in cultivating to the dragon grade, it would not be easy for Kang Shinmu to cultivate his chaotic dragon body to the heaven grade. That would require a large number of cultivation resources. Moreover, Kang Shinmu had to suffer multiple fatal injuries. Those fatal injuries. Kang Shinmu could easily recover from them, but it would not be easy to control the degree. At that time, he could only depend on how well he could cooperate with Ran Ran. After exchanging for a large number of demonic cores, Kang Shinmu called Ran Ran. The two of them quietly left the East Imperial Dragon Martial City and went to the vast forest where they had encountered the Nightmare Ink Beast. "Attack me." Kang Shinmu turned into a dragon and said to Ran Ran. Ran Ran did not feel too good. "Are you sure?" "Of course I'm sure. I brought you out this time to help me cultivate my body-tempering dragon-type martial technique," Kang Shinmu explained again. "Only by continuously getting injured will there be a chance to improve the body-tempering dragon-type martial technique. My recovery ability is very strong. You don't have to worry about me. Just attack me." Ran Ran was skeptical, but in the end, she still turned into a slender black dragon. Immediately after, she tried to use a dragon attack martial skill on Kang Shinmu. This dragon attack martial skill was a grade 2 dragon martial skill. Although it was not weak, it was not strong either. Especially now that Kang Shinmu's strength was much stronger than before. When this grade 2 dragon martial skill was displayed, the sky was filled with black dragon claws, and countless terrifying forces landed on Kang Shinmu's body. However, when the dust settled, Kang Shinmu's black dragon body was actually unscathed. The toughness of his divine dragon body was too high, so high that it was unbelievable. He had several body-tempering dragon martial techniques stacked together, as well as the origin body-tempering dragon martial technique, chaotic dragon body. How could he be injured so easily? Most importantly, Ran Ran's current strength was not considered strong. After all, she was only at the 7th level of Nirvana. At this age, having such a cultivation base was already quite impressive. One had to know that many Donghuang Yangwu College students only had such a low cultivation base even with sufficient cultivation resources. Kang Shinmu looked at the slender black dragon's astonished expression and found it somewhat funny. He said, "Come to think of it, the Donghuang Dragon Martial City's annual trial is about to begin. You and Fire Phoenix should prepare. If you can join Donghuang Yangwu College, that would be great. We can cultivate in the college together." Ran Ran nodded obediently. Of course, she also wanted to cultivate in Donghuang Yangwu College with Kang Shinmu, but she did not have the opportunity. In other places, if a dragon practitioner wanted to become a student of Donghuang Yangwu College, they could only go to a place like the Flame Dragon Sacred Tower and meet certain conditions to obtain the East Emperor Seal. Only with the East Emperor Seal could one enter Donghuang Yangwu College. But in Donghuang Dragon Martial City, as long as one could pass the annual Donghuang Yangwu College trial, they could become a student of Donghuang Yangwu College. Of course, it was said that the difficulty of Donghuang Yangwu College's trial was also extremely high. It might not even be easier than going through places like the Flame Dragon Sacred Tower. Every year, at most 1 or 2 genius dragon practitioners could pass the trial. Most of the time, not a single one could pass the trial after a year. Donghuang Dragon Martial City's trial and Donghuang Yangwu College's competition were staggered. Basically, half a year after Donghuang Yangwu College's competition, the Donghuang Dragon Martial City's trial would begin every year. Thus, this year's Donghuang Dragon Martial City's trial would begin in about 2 months. It was about time that Ran Ran and the Fire Phoenix made their preparations for that day. Of course, the Fire Phoenix had started cultivating quite late. If she went to participate in the trial now, her chances of passing were extremely low. However, Kang Shinmu felt that with Ran Ran's talent and strength, passing the trial shouldn't be too difficult. What's more, she also cultivated an extremely powerful origin dragon martial technique, the Dark Dragon Filth Mastery. Lower-tier origin skills, mid-tier origin skills, high-tier origin skills, every time it increased in rank, the power of the origin dragon martial technique would increase by a large margin. And the Dark Dragon Filth Mastery was a high-tier origin dragon martial technique. Kang Shinmu had also cultivated it now, so he was very clear on how powerful the regenerative effects of this origin dragon martial technique were. Chapter 4265. If Ran practiced alone, every time she used the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break a certain number of times, her strength would be exhausted, and she would need to rest for a period of time before she could continue. But now, she was with Kang Shinmu. In order to practice the chaotic dragon body fast enough, every time Ran was exhausted, Kang Shinmu would use his devouring power to transfer his own strength into her body. And Kang Shinmu's strength came from the beast cores that he had exchanged not long ago. He had a lot of beast cores on him, and through the devouring power, he could completely transform them into his own strength, or even transform them into other people's strength. Most importantly, he could continuously recover from his injuries. After a day, Ran used the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break at least 200 to 300 times, and her understanding of this dragon origin skill had suddenly risen to another level. Originally, the Void Dragon Sky Raising Break she practiced had already reached the dragon level, and now it was rapidly advancing towards the strongest heaven level. Probably in a few days, she would be able to find the feeling. As for when she could finally break through, it would depend on her luck and comprehension ability. At the end of the day, the two of them rested. They did not return to the charming inn, but rested in the wild. After the two of them stopped practicing, they returned to their human forms. As usual, Ran stuck to Kang Shinmu's body. Bursts of fragrance assaulted Kang Shinmu, making him a little restless. It must be said that this was an extremely attractive girl. Due to habit, she still liked to wear tight black clothes, which vividly outlined her attractive figure. When she stuck to Kang Shinmu's body, Kang Shinmu only felt a burst of softness in his arms, and there was a feeling of reluctance to let go. However, now that Ran had lost her memories, Kang Shinmu naturally could not take advantage of her. Moreover, his feelings for Ran was a little like that of an older brother to his younger sister, so of course he would not do anything excessive to her. The next day, the two of them continued to practice. Ran was preparing for the trial, while Kang Shinmu was preparing for next year's school competition. Both sides had their own goals. Keep fighting. This time, Kang Shinmu had suffered an extremely serious injury and could not even stand up. His black dragon body fell to the ground. His injuries had reached the limit. We can't continue. Brother Jiang, you should recover first. Ran's heart ached for him, and she couldn't bear to continue hitting him. Don't worry, 2 more times. You see, I can still talk, which means I can hold on. Kang Shinmu grinned, and this grin caused blood to gush out from the corner of his mouth. The young girl felt as if her heart was being pierced by a knife. She had never thought that Kang Shinmu would actually work so hard for the sake of cultivation. As long as she thought of how Kang Shinmu would have to endure such intense pain every time he cultivated the body-refining dragon-type martial skill, she would feel a little breathless. She admired Kang Shinmu so much. This kind of cultivation method. Even if Kang Shinmu had a way to recover quickly, the pain he had to endure was unbearable for ordinary people. After putting in so much effort, why couldn't he be stronger than others? Ran knew that as long as Kang Shinmu was given enough time, Kang Shinmu would definitely be able to stand at the top of this world. It was not impossible for him to become a Super Shinran. She felt that if even Kang Shinmu could not become a Super Shinran, then no one in this world would have the ability to break through and become a Super Shinran. Then, Ran suppressed her heartache, closed her eyes, and continued to attack Kang Shinmu, the Shadow Dragon Sky-Raising Break bombarded Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body again and again, weakening him and making it harder and harder for him to bear. In fact, Kang Shinmu felt that he was really going to die. Just before he lost consciousness, he gritted his teeth and finally activated his devouring power. He began to devour the demonic pill to recover himself. This was the first time he was injured to the point where he could not even use his devouring power. However, the benefits of cultivating the chaotic dragon body this time were almost obvious. Coupled with the sufficient treasures he had on him, the power of his chaotic dragon body began to circulate throughout his body during the slow recovery process. Although the recovery this time was extremely slow, the recovery this time drove the chaotic dragon body to a higher level. It seems like the results of this attempt are not bad. Kang Shinmu gradually regained consciousness. At the same time, he was somewhat relieved that Ran Ran's attack was not strong enough. This was a good thing. This allowed Ran Ran to continuously attack him until he was completely unable to speak. Even his breathing became weak. If Ran Ran's attack was stronger, then Kang Shinmu might not be able to control it so precisely. If she used too much strength, then Kang Shinmu might really die. If she used too little strength, then she would not be able to make Kang Shinmu fall into such a state of near death. This state was very uncomfortable and even made one feel close to death. However, to Kang Shinmu, this was the best training state. Just this time, his chaotic dragon body had taken a huge step forward towards the dragon grade. It's still too dangerous. Kang Shinmu still had some lingering fears. He did not dare to let Ran Ran continue to attack him like this. For the next few days, he followed the rules of his training. Whenever Kang Shinmu suffered a slightly more serious injury, he would directly devour the power of the demonic pill to recover. Then, he would help Ran Ran recover her strength. 7 days later, he and Ran Ran both achieved a breakthrough. Kang Shinmu's chaotic dragon body had finally been cultivated to the dragon grade. His resistance towards various elemental powers had once again increased by a large margin. At the beginning, it was 15%. When he cultivated chaotic dragon body to the earth grade, it was 30%. And now, after reaching the dragon grade, chaotic dragon body allowed his resistance towards various elemental powers to reach 50%. In other words, while the chaotic dragon body strengthened his divine dragon body, it also provided a terrifying elemental defensive barrier, weakening the opponent's attack power by half. If it was the current Kang Shinmu, he did not even need to go to the gloomy jungle to devour the power of darkness in advance. He would be able to directly resist the flying fish beast's fiercest attack. As for Ran Ran, when Kang Shinmu's chaotic dragon body broke through to the dragon grade, she finally cultivated the void dragon heaven-raising break to the heaven grade. This was the highest level. It signified that Ran Ran's mastery of the void dragon heaven-raising break had reached the point of perfection. It also signified that the young girl could now be like Kang Shinmu and write down the secret manual of the void dragon heaven-raising break's dragon martial technique. Of course, if it wasn't necessary, she wouldn't sell this dragon martial skill. To her, this was a gift from Kang Shinmu. No matter what, she would not spread it to others. Both of them broke through. There was not much meaning in continuing to cultivate. Chapter 4266. After Kang Shinmu's chaotic dragon body had broken through to the dragon realm, the strength of his divine dragon body had increased significantly. His frontal battle prowess had increased by several times, but in comparison, his offensive ability was quite weak. If he were to encounter an expert in battle, once the other party's defensive dragon martial skill was used, it would be impossible for him to defeat the other party. The only thing he could rely on was his own devouring ability to fight a battle of attrition with his opponent. But if that was the case, the battle would take too long, and if it was the Donghuang Yangwu College's competition, it would be more likely for others to see the special characteristics of his devouring ability. Offensive abilities need to be put on the agenda. Kang Xinmu thought to himself. The only way Xiao Chen could improve his offensive prowess was by cultivating the higher-level origin dragon martial techniques. And if he wanted to cultivate them, he had to cultivate high-tier origin skills. As for mid-tier origin skills, Kang Xinmu didn't even want to cultivate them. After all, when a mid-tier origin skill was cultivated to the peak, its destructive power could not compare to a high-tier origin skill. Donghuang Yangwu College's experience points were not easy to come by. Kang Xinmu could not possibly cultivate high-tier origin skills after cultivating mid-tier origin skills. That would be too wasteful. However, the number of experience points needed to exchange for high-tier origin skills was too high. According to Kang Xinmu's current efficiency in completing missions, he probably wouldn't be able to accumulate enough even if he saved up for 10 years. Thus, he needed large amounts of experience points. How could he obtain experience points so quickly? Kang Xinmu didn't know if there was any way to quickly accumulate experience points. The only way he could think of was to increase his own strength and then complete higher-tier missions. Before the next Donghuang Yangwu College's competition, I probably won't be able to cultivate a high-tier origin skill. Kang Xinmu felt that it was a pity. However, he was not in a rush. In any case, cultivation was not something that could be done in a day. His current rate of improvement was already quite frightening. At the same time that he was accumulating experience points, the most important thing was to increase his own cultivation base. He couldn't possibly spend 10 years accumulating enough experience points to exchange for a high-tier origin skill. That would be far too inefficient. He wanted to make the most of his time. Taking advantage of the fact that his current cultivation level was not too high, he could use his experience points to exchange for cultivation resources to break through his cultivation level. He could definitely increase his cultivation level first. 2 months later, Kang Xinmu cultivated step by step. When he ran out of resources, he would go to the experience stone steel to take a look. Ever since he killed the horned fish beast, there weren't any missions that were too difficult for him to accept. Everything was going smoothly, but the experience points were coming in slowly. After cultivating for so long, Kang Xinmu felt that he was only one step away from the 5th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. He wasn't in a hurry to break through. After all, once he reached the peak of the 4th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, his speed of improvement had already slowed down. If he didn't have a good foundation and rashly broke through, he might encounter some obstructions in his later cultivation. The more spiritual energy he accumulated, the more it would help him increase his strength in the future. Right now, Kang Xinmu was more concerned about the upcoming Donghuang Dragon Martial City trial. As long as they could pass this trial, the young dragon martial artists of Donghuang Dragon Martial City would be able to join Donghuang Yangwu College and become new students of Donghuang Yangwu College. This was the hope of all the genius dragon martial artists of Donghuang Dragon Martial City. Every year at this time, Donghuang Dragon Martial City was always the most lively. This was because all the genius dragon martial artists from the eastern part of the dragon martial continent would gather together and prepare to face the challenges of Donghuang Dragon Martial City's trial. The trial from Donghuang Dragon Martial City was called the Genius Trial. This trial was naturally organized by Donghuang Yangwu College, and the rules were basically the same every year. The genius dragon martial artists gathered at Donghuang Dragon Martial City would challenge the students of Donghuang Yangwu College. This was also an opportunity for the students of Donghuang Yangwu College. Putting aside the specific rules, the key was that as long as they accepted the challenge of Donghuang Yangwu College's genius dragon martial artists, they would receive a certain amount of experience points as a reward. Moreover, if they performed well, they would receive a lot of experience points as a reward. Therefore, the Genius Trial was an activity that all the students of Donghuang Yangwu College wanted to participate in. On Kang Xinmu's side, he naturally signed up. The entire Donghuang Yangwu College would send 20 students to participate, and these students were all students from the Alcade district. If the students from the deeper regions were to participate, it would be too much of a bully for those genius cultivators. For the sake of experience points, I can only sign up. I hope I won't encounter Ran Ran. Kang Xinmu thought to himself when he signed up. Of course, Ran Ran also signed up for this genius trial, but the Fire Phoenix Princess did not. Until now, she had not broken through to the Nirvana Tribulation realm, and she was still quite far from it. It was impossible for her to catch up in a short period of time with all the skills she had fallen behind in the past. Therefore, this time, Kang Xinmu only cared about whether Ran Ran could enter Donghuang Yangwu College. The rules of the genius trial were very simple. The first round was a free-for-all. There were more than 1,000 genius dragon martial artists who signed up for the genius trial. Every one of them was an outstanding figure of the younger generation, and they had at least reached the heavenly dragon's inherited blood essence. In each free-for-all, 100 people would enter, and only 20 would successfully advance. There were no rules in the free-for-all, and it could even be a matter of life and death. Furthermore, because they were divided into groups on the spot, it was impossible for the geniuses to form cliques in advance. Therefore, this free-for-all was a kind of test for the genius dragon martial artists. If it was the Alcade District's Donghuang Yangwu College students who participated in this level of free-for-all, they would definitely be able to easily last until the end. Even if it was 1 against 99, they would be able to sweep away many of the weaker opponents, and remain in the last 20. This was the difference. It was not that the Donghuang Yangwu College students were too strong, but the genius dragon martial artists outside were not as powerful as imagined. Many of them had just entered the Nirvana Tribulation realm, and they only had heavenly dragon's inherited blood essence, yet they signed up to participate in the genius trial. The main reason was that these geniuses were still relatively young, so they had a certain amount of potential for growth in the future. If their performance was outstanding, Donghuang Yangwu College might be able to accept them as students. After the first round of free-for-all, there were basically 200 to 300 people left. These 200 to 300 people were able to last until now in the free-for-all, and they were not simple characters. Of course, the true genius trial had only just begun. Next would be the competition between these 200 to 300 people and the Donghuang Yangwu College students. This competition was not one-on-one. If it was one-on-one, then very few people would be able to successfully enter Donghuang Yangwu College. The competition was divided into 3 rounds. Chapter 4267. After the chaotic battles, they would have to go through 3 more rounds of competition with the students of Donghuang Yangwu College. If they were able to win, then they would have the right to enter Donghuang Yangwu College. This rule had been passed down for a very long time. Donghuang Yangwu College was naturally the one who had set this rule. Not only did it test the prodigy's combat prowess, but it also tested their ability to judge, communicate, and cooperate with other prodigies. Many times, Donghuang Yangwu College's missions required many people to cooperate, so cooperation was also very important. The 200 or 300 people who had experienced the chaotic battles needed to observe during the battles. Whoever was stronger was more worthy of them allying together. Only by allying with stronger experts would they have a chance of defeating the students of Donghuang Yangwu College. If they lost even one battle, they would lose the opportunity to enter Donghuang Yangwu College. This rule wasn't very complicated, and it was also very fair. As for Ran Ran, Kang Xinmu wasn't worried at all that she wouldn't be able to pass through the chaotic battles. No matter what, she had inherited the blood essence of the Dragon King, and she had cultivated a high-tier origin skill, the Dark Dragon Filth Mastery. She was most suited to this kind of chaotic environment. However, she also needed to display her combat prowess in the chaotic battles. After all, only the stronger people would be able to meet stronger teammates in the following battles. This kind of competition between prodigies was very cruel, but it was also very fair. Whoever was the strongest would have the right to enter Donghuang Yangwu College. Of course, if everyone was defeated by the students of Donghuang Yangwu College in the 4-on-1 round, then no one would be able to enter Donghuang Yangwu College this year. Normally speaking, the chances of everyone being defeated in the 4-on-1 round were not very high. However, the vast majority of people would be defeated in the 3-on-1 round. Genius dragon martial artists who could enter the 2-on-1 round were already as rare as phoenix feathers and qilin horns. They had to win again before they could enter Donghuang Yangwu College. To be honest, it was extremely difficult. Of course, no matter how difficult it was, there were still people who could complete it. 3 years ago, there was a genius dragon martial artist who succeeded in the genius trial and joined Donghuang Yangwu College. However, there were not many of them. Kang Xinmu felt that the possibility of Ran Ran joining this year was quite high, as long as she didn't meet him. If Kang Xinmu were to encounter him, he would definitely go all out. Kang Xinmu definitely wouldn't feel any pressure dealing with Ran Ran alone. Even if the other two joined in. Kang Xinmu felt that he wouldn't feel any pressure either. After all, his current physical strength was too terrifying. The genius dragon martial artists outside, at this age, even if there was a heavenly dragon at the 7th or 8th stage of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, it would still be difficult for them to hurt Kang Xinmu, unless they had cultivated the origin dragon martial technique. However, if it was an opponent of this level, even if they were to challenge the Holy Tower, they would have a high chance of entering Donghuang Yangwu College. There was no need to go through the genius trial. After all, even if they were strong enough, they might not be able to find teammates who were as strong as them. Once their teammates were too weak, they still wouldn't be able to beat them. The final result came out very quickly. Kang Xinmu's registration was not passed, which made Kang Xinmu very depressed. If he passed and became one of the 20 people to test the participants of the genius trial, it wouldn't be a problem to obtain experience points that could only be obtained after a month of missions in just a few days of competition. Unfortunately, the reason why Kang Xinmu wasn't passed was that he was too strong and didn't belong to the Alcade district. This made Kang Xinmu half die of anger. Since he was said to be strong and didn't belong to the Alcade district, then he should be transferred to a deeper area. Why didn't he see any movement? He couldn't do anything about it. It was very likely that Dean Zhou Xiaofan was playing tricks on him behind his back. After all, Zhou Xiaofan saw that he was close to Yu Tianchang and indeed had a bad opinion of him. It could be seen from the fact that Zhou Xiaofan actually secretly helped Lin Yuji when he was fighting with her. In any case, Kang Xinmu was not qualified to fight against Zhou Xiaofan yet. Since the application was not passed, there was no other way. He could only rely on Ran Ran this time. He returned to the Charming Inn and specially sparred with Ran Ran to increase Ran Ran's actual combat experience. After all, Kang Xinmu's strength was the strongest in the Alcade district of Donghuang Yangwu College. With such strength, if he sparred with Ran Ran, Ran Ran would almost certainly lose. However, it still gave Ran Ran a lot of inspiration. After all, Kang Xinmu's actual combat ability was too strong, far exceeding that of ordinary Alcade district students. Even if 3 to 5 of the Alcade district students came to deal with Kang Xinmu would not lose. 3 days later, the genius trial officially began. Kang Xinmu and Fire Phoenix came to the spacious martial arts arena in the center of Donghuang Dragon Martial City, ready to watch the genius trial. This was the largest martial arts arena in the entire Donghuang Dragon Martial City, enough to accommodate 100,000 people to watch the battle. Kang Xinmu and Fire Phoenix were just 2 of the inconspicuous ones. 100,000 people were watching the battle, and more than 1,000 people were fighting. Moreover, each of them was an extremely tyrannical genius dragon martial artist. Any one of them would definitely be considered a top-notch expert among the younger generation of the Dragon Emperor's dynasty if they were brought to the Dragon Emperor's dynasty. Only existences of this level had a slight chance of joining Donghuang Yangwu College. How spectacular! When they arrived at the martial arts arena, Fire Phoenix leaned against Kang Xinmu's side. Looking at the sea of people around her, she was obviously a little shocked. Although she used to be the princess of Qiuhuang Dragon Country, she had never seen so many people gathered together. Qiuhuang Dragon Country often had such scenes, but unfortunately, they had nothing to do with her. Moreover, which one of these dragon martial artists gathered in Donghuang Dragon Martial City wasn't an expert? They were all super experts who had gathered from the surrounding provinces. Many of them were from the powerful Dragon Emperor's country, and even many Dragon Emperor had personally come to cheer on their country's geniuses participating in the battle. Therefore, the current Donghuang Dragon Martial City was already a gathering of experts. Many of the Dragon Emperor's country's Dragon Emperor's experts weren't people that a junior like Kang Xinmu could fight against. If he wanted to reach this level, he had to at least reach the peak of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. He might even have to break through to the Reincarnation Tribulation Realm. Of course, it was too early for Kang Xinmu to think about this now. Next, the most important thing for him to do was to break through to a higher realm before the next school competition, and strive to enter the area with the denser energy of the Dragon Mark to cultivate. Amidst the hubbub of voices, a few mentors from Donghuang Yangwu College appeared together. Chu Yueqiang, Tan Shouzhua. The 5 mentors were about the same level of strength. This time, the Donghuang Dragon Martial City's Genius Trial would also be hosted by the 5 of them. Experts like the Dean of Donghuang Yangwu College naturally wouldn't appear in this kind of recruitment event. In fact, outsiders didn't have many opportunities to see existences like the Super Dragon God. When the 5 mentors appeared, Kang Xinmu saw a few familiar faces following behind them. Chu Yi. Chapter 4268. Other than Chu Yi, Kang Xinmu also saw the 4 familiar faces of Bao Peng, Qin Shouji, Qin Fengyu, and Lu Hua. They had applied to become trial takers for the Genius Trial, which made Kang Xinmu very envious. After this battle, they would at least gain a month's worth of experience points. It was a pity that Kang Xinmu did not get this opportunity. The official reason was that he was too strong. If he were to become a trial taker, it was likely that no one would be able to become a student of Donghuang Yangwu College. Kang Xinmu brought the Fire Phoenix Princess and sat down in an inconspicuous place on the spectators' stand. When the Donghuang Yangwu College's mentors appeared with the 20 selected trial takers, everyone in the field was filled with admiration. The Donghuang Yangwu College's mentors. This was the strongest existence in the Dragon Martial Continent. Even the surrounding Dragon Emperor countries' Dragon Emperor powerhouses were not on the same level as the Donghuang Yangwu College's mentors. Although the mentors' Divine Dragon blood essence had not broken through to Super Divine Dragon and were still at the Dragon Emperor stage, their progress in the Dragon Emperor stage was much stronger than other Dragon Emperor powerhouses. If in this world, the Dragon Emperor country's Dragon Emperor powerhouses had just entered the Dragon Emperor stage, then the remaining 10% had only walked less than a tenth of the path from Dragon Emperor to Super Divine Dragon. This meant that it was almost impossible for Dragon Emperor powerhouses to become Super Divine Dragon. But the Donghuang Yangwu College's mentors had walked more than half the path from Dragon Emperor to Super Divine Dragon. Only by reaching this condition could Donghuang Yangwu College's students have the qualifications to stay in Donghuang Yangwu College and become mentors after the 100-year period. That was to give them a chance to become Super Shenron. After all, the purpose of Donghuang Yangwu College was to nurture Super Dragon God powerhouses. Hence, such a system was very normal. Under the cheers of the audience, Kang Xinmu remained silent. He saw that Chu Yueqiang was also among the 5 mentors. Her expression was cold and elegant, and she emitted a cold and icy aura. No one dared to have the slightest bit of blasphemy against her. However, Kang Xinmu knew that his mentor was actually very warm-hearted. It was just that he appeared to be cold on the surface. "Those 20 will be the challengers this time," Yi Futian said. "Too young. They're so young, yet they've already reached the level of the Dragon King. They're too strong. Most importantly, my cultivation realm has also advanced. I'm now above the 7th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Even if it's 2 against 1, it's still too difficult. I'm afraid that this year will be the same as the previous years. Not a single one will be able to enter the academy." Everyone began to observe Chu Yi and the others. After all, whether or not someone could successfully enter the Donghuang Yangwu College depended on the strength of these 20 challengers. Many people began to analyze based on their appearances. Some said that Chu Yi was very strong, while others said that Chu Yi was very weak. Some said that Qin Shouji was the strongest, while others said that Qin Shouji was only average. Of course, the crowd still did not know the names of every student. However, this did not prevent them from recognizing people based on their appearances. Countless people were paying attention to every single challenger. "I hope that Ran will be able to enter the academy smoothly." Kang Xinmu sat in the spectator stand and smiled in a relaxed manner. "Yes." Fire Phoenix also nodded gently as she looked at the arena nervously. Of course, Ran and the others had not appeared yet. All the dragon warriors who were participating in the genius trial were currently gathered at the preparation area and had not arrived at the arena yet. Hearing the conversation between Kang Xinmu and Fire Phoenix, the 2 old men sitting beside them immediately chuckled. These 2 old men, one with long hair and the other with short hair, were both grizzled. However, it could be seen that their cultivation realms were still very high. They should be 2 Dragon King experts. Moreover, they were both at the Reincarnation Tribulation realm. In terms of combat strength, Kang Xinmu was definitely not their match. After all, they were old and had lived for so many years. Whether it was their dragon martial techniques or cultivation realms, they were definitely stronger than Kang Xinmu. Of course, it was now. As long as they waited for a few more years, Kang Xinmu would definitely surpass this level of dragon warrior. The 2 white-haired old men could not help but chuckle when they heard the conversation between Kang Xinmu and Fire Phoenix. Donghuang Yangwu College's genius trial is not that easy to pass. The long-haired old man laughed, then glanced at Kang Xinmu and asked, "Little brother, it's not that easy for your friend to join Donghuang Yangwu College." The short-haired old man snorted lightly. "Our grandson already has the Dragon King's blood essence and has reached the 5th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. This time, he doesn't have much confidence in joining Donghuang Yangwu College. Do you think it's that easy?" Kang Xinmu listened to their words and did not say anything. He only said, "The difficulty varies from person to person. Some people find it difficult, while others find it easy. It's normal." Hearing Kang Xinmu's words, the 2 old men were stunned. They never thought that such a young boy would actually say such a thing. The short-haired old man sneered, "You mean to say that for your friend, entering Donghuang Yangwu College is not difficult, and is even very easy? Kid, you think too lightly of Donghuang Yangwu College. Actually, Donghuang Yangwu College is just like that." Kang Xinmu looked at Chu Yi and the other 20 people on the stage and analyzed. Among those 20 people, there are quite a few who have only joined Donghuang Yangwu College for less than 5 years. Their strength is still relatively weak. There are only 4 who are relatively strong. If Ran wants to join Donghuang Yangwu College, as long as she has a relatively good partner and doesn't meet those 4 students, it shouldn't be a big problem. Although the 4 stronger students that Kang Xinmu mentioned were still cultivating in the Alcade district, they had already joined Donghuang Yangwu College for a long time. Their combat strength was definitely not weak. They even tried to challenge the students of Kaiyang district every year in an attempt to reach a higher level. Those 4 students had cultivated in Donghuang Yangwu College for more than 10 years, and their cultivation levels had all reached the 8th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Most importantly, the dragon martial skill that they cultivated was already quite tyrannical. If Kang Xinmu were to deal with them, it would naturally not be a problem. However, if Ran Ran were to deal with them, even if there was an expert who was about the same level as her, it would not be that easy to defeat them. Hearing Kang Xinmu's words, the expressions of the 2 elders changed slightly. It sounded like Kang Xinmu was very familiar with Donghuang Yangwu College. But no matter how they looked, they could only feel that Kang Xinmu's cultivation was only at the 4th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, and had yet to step into the 5th level. Donghuang Yangwu College. There shouldn't be such a weak student, right? Or could it be that this kid has any relatives or friends who are students of Donghuang Yangwu College? The 2 elders frowned, no one knew what they were thinking. Right at this moment, the noise in the arena suddenly stopped for a while, because on the martial arts practice field, there were finally people from the younger generation who were participating in the genius trial gradually appearing. Chapter 4269. Kang Xinmu didn't see Ran Ran in the crowd. This meant that she wasn't in the first batch of the mixed martial artists. Seeing exactly 100 young genius dragon martial artists step into the arena, the surrounding 100,000 spectators all burst into enthusiastic applause and various cheers. Not far from Kang Xinmu and Fire Phoenix, a sturdy middle-aged man stood up and shouted, "Son, come on. Unstoppable. Charge into the academy." This momentum was extremely shocking because this middle-aged man was actually an expert at the same level as the Dragon Emperor. Moreover, his cultivation was extremely powerful, probably at the peak of the Reincarnation Tribulation realm. He roared in anger to cheer for his son. His momentum was so great that all the spectators nearby focused their attention on him. And not only that. After the middle-aged man stood up and roared, hundreds of powerful dragon martial artists wearing armor instantly stood up. The iron-blooded aura on their bodies made it obvious that they were from the dragon martial army. At this moment, all 100 experts in the Reincarnation Tribulation realm stood up and shouted, "Prince Feng, come on." When these 100 people shouted at the same time, almost everyone in the audience shifted their gazes towards them. Everyone looked at them as if they were looking at idiots. If cheering was useful, there wouldn't be only one genius every few years who could pass the genius trial and join Donghuang Yangwu College. Therefore, many people sneered at this scene. After all, no matter how powerful their father's family was, they couldn't join Donghuang Yangwu College if they weren't strong enough. Even if they were unlucky and didn't have strong teammates, they still wouldn't be able to pass the genius trial and join Donghuang Yangwu College. It's the Dragon Emperor of the Great Liang Dragon Country, and behind him is the Liang Dragon Army. This momentum is too great. The Great Liang Dragon Country is not weak. It is said that this Dragon Emperor is an expert at the peak of the Reincarnation Tribulation realm. Moreover, the progress of the divine dragon blood essence has reached 30% of the Dragon Emperors. Really? So strong. Doesn't that mean that this Dragon Emperor is almost the same as an ordinary graduate of Donghuang Yangwu College? There was a lot of discussion. When Kang Xinmu heard these words, he was a little interested in the sturdy middle-aged man. It was already very impressive that someone who didn't graduate from Donghuang Yangwu College could raise the Dragon Emperor's divine dragon blood essence to 30%. As someone said just now, the students of Donghuang Yangwu College could only cultivate inside for 100 years. If they could reach 50% of the Dragon Emperor's blood essence within 100 years, they would be qualified to stay and be a mentor. If they could become a super dragon after 100 years, they could leave Dragon Martial Dragon Continent and go to a higher level. However, if one failed to achieve both, then they could only leave the Eastern Imperial Dragon Martial Academy. This meant that the Dragon Martial Artist's talent was insufficient. Dragon, Dragon Chen said, T, Dragon. Dragon, T, Dragon, T, Dragon Emperor. At this time, those students were basically at the level of the Dragon Emperor, but they had only reached 10% to 30%. There was still a long way to go to become a super dragon. If they failed to stay in Donghuang Yangwu College, it meant that there was almost no chance to become a super dragon in the future. After leaving Donghuang Yangwu College, the students could only return to their homeland, or establish a Dragon Emperor's kingdom by themselves and spend the rest of their lives there. At this time, the Great Liang Dragon Country's Dragon Emperor's divine dragon blood essence had reached 30% of the Dragon Emperors, which was quite impressive. Kang Xinmu now knew that, for example, Dragon Emperor Yan, although his divine dragon blood essence had reached the level of Dragon Emperor, it was still too far away from becoming a super dragon. It was almost less than 10% progress. This was the gap. Therefore, although they were both Dragon Emperors, their strengths were different. Dragon Emperor was progressing towards Super Dragon. The higher the progress, the stronger he would be. This was the fundamental reason why the mentors of Donghuang Yangwu College were stronger than other Dragon Emperors. Kang Xinmu did not know how much progress Chu Yueqiang had made in Dragon Emperor's blood essence, but if she could stay and be a mentor, it should be at least 50%. Moreover, because she had many students under her, she must have been a mentor for many years. Her Dragon Emperor's blood essence progress should have reached 60 to 70%, maybe even 70 to 80%. This level of strength was much stronger than the Dragon Emperor outside. It would not be an exaggeration to say that one could fight 10 of them. With the Great Liang Dragon Country's Dragon Emperor and the Liang Long army cheering, in the middle of the martial arts arena, everyone saw a strong young man waving his hand. "Dad, don't worry. I'm your son. I will definitely join Donghuang Yangwu College." The strong young man had short hair and wore an iron chain armor. However, he did not look heavy. Instead, he looked very nimble. His eyes were filled with determination and confidence. At this moment, the strong young man was grinning. Obviously, he was confident in himself. He was Liang Luo, Great Liang Dragon Country's Prince Luo. This time, he participated in the genius trial with the determination to win. Kang Xinmu took a closer look. This Prince Luo's cultivation was not low. He was actually at the 7th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Moreover, his divine dragon's blood essence had reached 20% of the Dragon King's progress. One must know that Kang Xinmu's Dragon King's blood essence progress had not reached this level. After all, after Kang Xinmu advanced to the Dragon King, he did not pay much attention to absorbing the Dragon Mark's energy. He just followed the prescribed order. Now, only 10% of the Dragon King's blood essence progress had been achieved. Of course, if this Prince Luo fought with Kang Xinmu, he would definitely be beaten up by Kang Xinmu. However, among the geniuses in the genius trial, this level of strength was already quite powerful. If Ran Ran fought with him, her chances of winning are less than 100%. However, with this level of participant, I can let Ran Ran choose him to form a team and challenge Chu Yi and the others, Kang Xinmu thought to himself. Although the Great Liang Dragon Country's Prince Luo was very high profile, there was no doubt that he had the strength. After the first battle, many young geniuses disliked the high-profile people. They secretly formed an alliance and directly attacked Prince Luo. In the field, 100 dragon warriors transformed into dragons one after another. The scene was spectacular, and a terrifying power began to spread on the field. The entire martial arts field was separated by a protective barrier. It was divided into dozens of battlefields, each of which had different levels of intensity. Among them, the battlefield where Prince Luo was fighting was the most intense. In total, there were more than 20 dragon warriors. They actually joined forces to besiege Prince Luo, wanting to throw him out. Unfortunately, although these genius dragon warriors were very talented, their combat strength was only average. Many of them focused on improving their cultivation realm and neglected the cultivation of dragon martial techniques. So now, more than 20 people besieging a Prince Luo was actually blocked by him. Chapter 4270. The first battle could be said to be a one-man show for Prince Yen. At most, there were 25 people surrounding Prince Yen. However, they were all sent flying in one move. There was no need to say anything. Although Prince Yen and his father were careless and hated people, it had to be said that they were very strong. Looks like there will be many people who want to work with Prince Yen. Kang Xinmu thought to himself as he looked at the situation. The relationship between the students of the Genius Trial was not one of competition. Instead, it was one of cooperation. The first round was a competition, but it was just the foundation. To the strong, it was just a round to eliminate the weak. It was not the real challenge. The real challenge would start from the second round, where they would challenge the current students of Donghuang Yangwu College. Therefore, whoever performed better in the battle would be more likely to be favored. Only when the strong worked together could they truly defeat the students of Donghuang Yangwu College. 4 against 1, 3 against 1, until 2 against 1. In the end, if the two of them were not the top contestants of the Genius Trial, it would be very difficult to win. Without a doubt, with Prince Yan's outstanding performance, it would be easy for him to pass through the first round. Next, Prince Yan would become a partner that many people thought highly of. Of course, in every round, there would be 20 genius dragon martial artists who could stay and advance to the next round. Other than Prince Yan, as long as they could perform well in the battle, they would be noticed. If they did not perform well, they would not be able to find their teammates in the second round and would be eliminated. They would not even have the right to fight on the stage. In the first round, other than Prince Yen, there were a few other genius dragon martial artists who performed well as well. They were commendable and had strong combat abilities. After they left the stage, the second round of battle followed. Kang Xinmu and Fire Phoenix watched quietly. It had to be said that the young dragon martial artists who participated in the Genius Trial were all very strong. However, compared to the students of Donghuang Yangwu College, they were much weaker. Therefore, to Kang Xinmu, there was nothing to see in these battles. He was only helping Ran Ran to see if there was anyone worth working with. Unfortunately, after 3 battles, Kang Xinmu only saw Prince Yen worthy of his attention. According to his performance, he was slightly weaker than Ran Ran, but he was still a candidate worth working with. As for the others, there were geniuses too. However, to Kang Xinmu, they were not strong enough. If they worked together with weaklings, not only would it be difficult for them to defeat the students of the Eastern Imperial Dragon Martial Academy, they might even drag them down. When the 4th battle began, the little beauty's eyes finally lit up. Ran Ran is up. Sure enough, Jiang Shenwu saw Ran Ran, who was dressed in black, walk out from the chaotic battle. There were 100 people in this battle. Among the 100 people, even if Ran Ran hadn't turned into a dragon yet, she was still the focus of the crowd, because she was too beautiful. Her pair of bright eyes exuded a sense of purity, giving people an ethereal feeling. Among the 100 people, there were many young men who were secretly watching Ran Ran. They were very interested in her. Although it was the Genius Trial initiated by Donghuang Yangwu College, many geniuses came to participate not just to join Donghuang Yangwu College. After all, many of them knew that they could not reach the standard to join Donghuang Yangwu College. Their main purpose was to come to the Genius Trial and pick out talents. Many of the dragon martial artists who participated in the Genius Trial came from some powerful dragon emperor kingdom. There were many nobles among them. Many of these people came to the Genius Trial to choose their subordinates. If they could bring a few people back to their dragon emperor kingdom, they would be strong enough to guard a region in the future. There were also some people who came to find a partner. Some strong people couldn't find anyone they liked in their dragon emperor kingdom. They had high requirements, so they participated in the genius trial. Maybe they could meet a girl who could move them. Without a doubt, Ran Ran had caught the eye of many of these young talents. Although the battle had not started and many people couldn't see Ran Ran's level, just from appearance, Ran Ran was like a black lotus, cold and pure. With that temperament, her strength and talent were definitely not bad. Otherwise, she wouldn't have come to participate in the genius trial. 100 people went up. Even many of the dragon martial artists who were watching the battle noticed Ran Ran in the crowd. Among the 100 people, there were many young girls. They were all genius dragon martial artists, but none of them were as dazzling as Ran Ran. This situation made a few of the young dragon martial artists in the crowd a little angry. Young girls were vain. They were all high and mighty figures in their own dragon emperor kingdoms. They had countless admirers. They didn't even look at many young talents. The reason was that they didn't think they were good enough for them. So even if these young girls felt that they couldn't meet the requirements of Donghuang Yangwu College, they still came to participate in the genius trial. They wanted to see if there were any top young talents who could move their hearts. Unfortunately, their plan failed. In this group of 100 people, there was a young girl in black, who attracted the attention of most of the young talents. How could they tolerate this? When the battle starts, we'll beat her down directly. Let others see that some women are useless. The young girls gathered together and looked at Ran Ran. They snorted coldly. Of course, no one knew what they were thinking. It was impossible for Ran Ran to care about what others thought. She only knew that many people were interested in her. The gazes from everywhere made her a little annoyed. She didn't like this feeling. She used to be a member of the Dark Dragon group. She was long used to moving in the dark. Once too many people paid attention to her, she would feel uncomfortable. Although she no longer had any memories of that time, it was hard to change this kind of physical habit. But in order to join Donghuang Yangwu College and be able to cultivate with Kang Xinmu, she still endured the discomfort. No matter what, the genius trial was the genius trial. No matter how uncomfortable she was, she had to show her strength in front of thousands of people. When the 100 people went up for the 4th round, the genius dragon martial artists in the field all focused. Following instructor Tan Shoujua's begin, the martial arts field suddenly exploded with endless energy. The 100 genius dragon martial artists transformed into divine dragons in an instant. It was also at this moment that a few powerful dragon martial artists with Dragon King's blood essence appeared in front of everyone. The Dragon King's body was more than 4,000 feet long. It was a colossal creature. As for the other genius dragon martial artists who participated in the genius trial, they all had at least heavenly dragon level inheritance blood essence. And the divine dragons transformed from heavenly dragon blood essence were only 100 feet long. 13 Dragon King martial artists. Chapter 4271. Dragon King level inheritance blood essence was not as common as cabbages. It could be found everywhere. It could be said that in the dragon martial continent, only 1 out of 1,000 dragon martial artists could possibly be a Dragon King. Especially among the younger generation, there were even fewer who could reach the level of a Dragon King. In the previous 3 rounds of the genius trial, there were basically 4 or 5 Dragon Kings among the 100 dragon martial artists. However, in the 4th round of the genius trial, there were a total of 13 Dragon Kings. Seeing this scene, many heavenly dragon blood essence inheritors who were participating in the 4th round were envious. They did not expect that they would be placed in the strongest group. The Dragon King was stronger than a heavenly dragon. This was almost an ironclad rule, unless one had an absolute advantage in terms of cultivation realm or had cultivated many powerful origin source dragon martial techniques. However, If the dragon martial artists who could participate in the genius trial had divine dragon blood essence that was comparable to a dragon king, their dragon martial techniques and cultivation realm would naturally not fall behind. Therefore, if a dragon king level expert appeared in the battle royale of the genius trial, unless he was surrounded by dozens of people, it was almost certain that he would stand out from the battle royale. There are actually so many dragon kings. We're doomed. We have to join forces. Otherwise, just these dragon kings alone will take up 13 spots. There are still 7 spots left. Even if we join forces, we won't be able to get rid of all the dragon kings. We might as well protect ourselves and blast the other heavenly dragons out. None of the dragon martial artists who participated in the genius trial were easy to deal with. Each of them had their own thoughts. When instructor Tan Shoujua announced the start of the genius trial, everyone turned into dragons. Almost in an instant, after seeing the situation in the field, everyone had a plan in mind. Get out of here! A fierce shout was heard, accompanied by the roar of a divine dragon. Immediately, everyone saw that the most eye-catching people in the field were 3 Dragon King-level experts. They were actually charging towards a slender black dragon. That slender black dragon was Ran Ran. Many people's faces darkened when they saw this scene. Some young geniuses who had designs on Ran Ran immediately came to her side and shouted angrily, "Don't you dare bully us with numbers." There was a total of 5 female dragon warriors. Because of their jealousy towards Ran Ran, they charged towards Ran Ran. 3 of them were the Dragon King and 2 were the Sky Dragons. The 5 girls all wanted to beat Ran Ran up and down. Jealousy made them join hands with each other to fight against a common enemy. Unfortunately, Ran Ran had many supporters. 2 young geniuses transformed into the Dragon King and stood in front of Ran Ran. Ran Ran was prepared to fight back. Although there were many people attacking her, she didn't put them in her eyes at all. When she saw someone helping her, she couldn't help but be stunned. Although she knew that some dragon warriors would choose to ask for help and group up during the chaotic battle, she did not discuss it with the others at all. What was going on? The 2 young geniuses transformed into the Dragon King and stood in front of Ran Ran. Then, they looked at each other and saw the strong desire to fight in each other's eyes. Let's get rid of our opponents first, then we'll decide the winner. Obviously, these 2 guys were going to use the winner to decide who was qualified to pursue Ran Ran. Don't they have 3 Dragon Kings? Why don't we have a competition? Whoever can defeat one of the Dragon Kings first will be the winner. There was no need for Dragon Kings to fight against each other. After all, they were all qualified to enter the next round. Therefore, one of them suggested to see who could defeat their opponents faster. Sure. The other person didn't object. The 2 young Dragon Kings immediately erupted with a strong desire to fight and faced the 5 female dragon warriors. They each chose one of the Dragon King girls. Their powerful origin dragon martial skills surged out violently. There was still 1 Dragon King and 2 heavenly dragons left. Seeing this, they were even more enraged. The chaotic battle had just begun, and someone had already come to protect Ran Ran. This made them even more jealous. None of them tried to stop them. They headed straight for Ran Ran's location. They did not use their origin dragon martial skills. After all, in their opinion, there was no need to use their origin dragon martial skills when it was 3 against 1. As a matter of fact, the 2 heavenly dragons had never cultivated the origin dragon martial technique, wind, fire, and thunder. 3 different nirvana powers swept out and completely enveloped the slender black dragon that Ran Ran had transformed into. Seeing this, everyone broke into a cold sweat. However, Ran Ran did not even dodge. She did not even use her defensive dragon martial skills. This was because in her opinion, the opponent's attack did not pose any threat at all. Her low-tier origin skill had only been cultivated to the earth rank. The other two girls' grade 2 offensive dragon martial skills had only been cultivated to the dragon rank. None of them were at the heaven rank. It could not be said that they were not weak. It could only be said that Ran was too strong. In reality, reaching the opponent's level could already be considered a genius. Most importantly, she had cultivated to the high stage of the Nirvana Tribulation realm at such a young age. This was a level that ordinary people could not reach. Immediately after, the opponent's attack landed on Ran's divine dragon body. Everyone was dumbfounded. That slender black dragon actually did not resist at all. She was hit by the opponent's attack just like that. Generally speaking, the current dragon martial artists all cultivated defensive dragon martial skills. Without defensive dragon martial skills, the dragon warriors were very weak. Dragon warriors of the same level could basically kill their opponents instantly. However, this did not exist for Ran. When the opponent's attack landed, her entire body was filled with the power of the Dark Dragon Filth Mastery technique, which flowed through her divine dragon body. Not only could this power quickly heal her injuries, but it could also counteract the opponent's attack. She had long ago cultivated this high-tier origin skill to the highest heaven rank. Thus, at this moment, the opponent's seemingly fierce attack landed on her body, but it did not cause her any harm at all. Instead, Void Dragon raises the sky. She finally used the top-tier offensive dragon martial skill she had cultivated to the highest level. On the battlefield, 6 dragon heads appeared in all directions. In an instant, pitch-black beams of light shot towards the 3 female dragon warriors. The 3 of them had not expected things to turn out like this. Their attacks did not have any effect on Ran at all. Most importantly, Ran had actually launched a direct counterattack, and this counterattack was abnormally fierce. Each of them used their defensive dragon martial skills as quickly as possible. However, before their defensive dragon martial skills could completely form, the Void Dragon raises the sky had already arrived. The terrifying power instantly landed on the 3 divine dragons' bodies and blasted them far away. Their bodies were covered in divine dragon blood. Everyone present was extremely shocked by this scene. Chapter 4272. A crushing force erupted from the divine dragon weapon that Ran had transformed into and instantly sent her opponents flying. Although the 3 female dragon martial artists were not weak, they had no chance of winning against Ran. They were defeated in just one move. After the 3 of them were sent flying, the other dragon martial artists glared at them covetously. After all, the final goal of this free-for-all was to determine the 20 candidates to advance to the next round. The more people who were eliminated, the more chances the others had. Seeing that the 3 women were sent flying, who wouldn't step in and completely defeat them with a kick? Next, Ran didn't even need to make a move. The 3 women were sent flying out of the martial arts arena. They were seriously injured and besieged, so they couldn't resist at all. Being sent flying out of the martial arts arena meant that they were disqualified and eliminated. At this moment, everyone looked at Ran and their expressions changed completely. This female dragon martial artist was definitely not an ordinary person. She might even be able to step into the gates of Donghuang Yangwu College and become a student of Donghuang Yangwu College. Ran didn't care. She had already displayed her strength and everyone in the martial arts arena remembered her. If no one made a move against her, there was no need for her to make a move. The others also didn't make a move against her. It was obvious that no matter who made a move against Ran, there would only be one outcome. They would be sent flying and then eliminated. Even the 2 young experts who had helped Ran fend off the 2 heavenly dragons wanted to create a good image in front of Ran. In the end, their mouths were wide open in disbelief. This young girl was actually so strong. It was as though it was unnecessary for them to step forward to help her fend off her opponents. the other two heavenly dragon girls who had joined forces to attack Ran Ran were shocked when they saw how powerful Ran Ran was. They didn't dare to attack her anymore and retreated. Even if they were jealous and wanted to attack Ran Ran, they wouldn't risk their lives to attack Ran Ran. They still wanted to ride on someone's coattails and see if there would be any experts who would emerge victorious. Then, they would hook up with them and bring them to the next round. If they were lucky and managed to get into Donghuang Yangwu College, wouldn't that be great? Although the possibility was small, it was not impossible. Therefore, they still hoped to advance through the chaotic battle. With their retreat, the outcome of this chaotic battle was basically decided. Although the two girls did not dare to attack Ran Ran, the anger in their hearts made them vent their anger on the other dragon warriors around them. Many dragon martial artists with heavenly dragon inherited blood essence were sent flying by them, falling from the martial arts practice field and eliminated one by one. Soon, there were only 20 people left on the field. Among these 20 people, there were a total of 11 Dragon King level inheritors. Originally, there were 13 Dragon Kings in this chaotic battle. In the end, when attacking Ran Ran, one of them was sent flying, while the other was in the process of venting his anger and was besieged by more than 20 people. That girl was not in existence like Prince Yen from before. Being besieged by more than 20 heavenly dragon experts, even if she was the Dragon King, she couldn't hold on. In the end, she fell from the martial arts practice field and was eliminated. This made her even more depressed. She simply wanted to kill Ran Ran. Unfortunately, her strength was far inferior to Ran Ran's. The fourth chaotic battle ended. Ran Ran naturally advanced, and her dazzling performance made people pay attention to her. At this time, near Kong Shinmu and the Fire Phoenix Princess, the great Liang Dragon Country's Dragon Emperor expert and his son, Prince Yen, had already gathered together. Prince Liang Luo looked at the field with a very excited look. That girl is amazing. She suits this prince's taste. Dad, I want to cooperate with her in the next 3 rounds. Well, she is indeed not bad. You can ask around and see who she is. The great Liang Dragon Emperor laughed and said, if she is willing, you can bring her back to our great Liang Dragon Country as a guest and become a good friend of our great Liang Dragon Country. What he meant was, of course, he hoped that Ran Ran would become his daughter-in-law. However, he also knew that with Ran Ran's level of strength, it was impossible that she didn't have any background. Perhaps his great Liang Dragon Country's background couldn't compare to Ran Ran's. Therefore, his words were a bit vague, and he only asked Ran Ran to go to Great Liang Dragon Country as a guest. As for the Great Liang Dragon Emperor's words, his son obviously took them seriously. Of course, such an excellent girl, this prince must make friends with her. Liang Qing said seriously, even if she has some power behind her, our great Liang Dragon Country can also make friends with them. There is no harm. Kong Shinmu listened to the conversation between the father and son and wanted to laugh. Ran Ran didn't have any background, but to make friends with Great Liang Dragon Country, there was no need. Because, with Ran Ran's strength, she could most likely join Donghuang Yangwu College and become a student. Of course, this Prince Liang's strength was not bad. If she could cooperate with him, she should have some confidence in dealing with the students of Donghuang Yangwu College in the next 3 rounds. Kong Shinmu looked at the 20 Donghuang Dragon Martial School students on the stage. When he saw Chu Yi, Qin Shouji, and the others, he slightly estimated their strength. They are not weak. With Ran Ran's strength, it will be difficult to deal with them alone. But, looking at Prince Liang's methods, if he and Ran Ran join hands, it should not be difficult to deal with one of them. Kong Shinmu estimated their strength and nodded to himself. He looked back at Prince Liang and suddenly raised his hand and waved at him. Prince Liang was still chatting with his father. When he saw Kong Shinmu suddenly waving at him, he couldn't help but be surprised. Who was this kid? Why did he suddenly wave at him? Little brother, do I know you? Prince Liang looked at Kang Xinmu curiously. His intuition told him that this young man looked ordinary, but there was something special about him. He was not an ordinary existence. As for where his intuition came from, he didn't know. I don't know you. Kang Xinmu shook his head and said, but if you are strong enough, you should be able to get to know each other very soon. In the next 3 rounds, how about you team up with Ran Ran? As he said this, Kang Xinmu looked at Ran Ran, who was leaving the stage. She is called Ran Ran? Is she a genius from Chi Dragon? Prince Liang's eyes instantly lit up. That's right, little brother. Introduce her to me later, and I will reward you handsomely. Hearing this, Kang Xinmu's face twitched a little. A genius from Chi Dragon? Ran Ran really wasn't a genius from Chi Dragon. Right now, Ran Ran could be said to have no home to return to. She had been following Kang Xinmu all this time. Let's have dinner tonight and get to know each other. Kang Xinmu didn't say much and directly invited him. Chapter 4273. Nighttime. In a luxurious restaurant in Donghuang Dragon Martial City, 6 people sat at the VIP table. Kang Xinmu brought Fire Phoenix and Ran Ran, while Liang Dragon Emperor brought his son, Prince Cheng, and a general of Liang Dragon Kingdom to the banquet. At this moment, Prince Cheng, Liang Luo, and the others already knew Kang Xinmu's identity. He was an official student of Donghuang Yangwu College. This identity had already shown how powerful Jiang Shenwu was. His talent was so strong that it definitely surpassed everyone present. After all, he entered Donghuang Yangwu College through the proper channels, while Prince Cheng couldn't pass the final test in Liang Holy Tower. Therefore, even if Kang Xinmu's current cultivation base wasn't that great, everyone knew that Kang Xinmu would definitely become very strong in the future. Of course, Liang Luo didn't think that Kang Xinmu's current combat strength was that strong. In his opinion, if Kang Xinmu's combat strength was strong enough, he would definitely be selected as one of the 20 students for the trial. He definitely didn't have enough strength to be one of the 20 students for the trial. Unfortunately, he didn't know that the current Kang Xinmu wasn't selected because he was too weak, but because he was too strong. Naturally, Kang Xinmu couldn't be bothered to say more about this. The key now was for Liang Luo and Ran Ran to join forces and win the next round. Regarding this point, Jiang Shenwu had some information that he could share with them. He didn't know about the others, but Bao Peng, Qin Shouji, Chu Yi, Qin Fengyu, and Lu Hua were a total of 5 people, and Kang Xinmu was quite familiar with their combat strength. Let me tell you one by one. After both sides got to know each other, Kang Xinmu began to introduce the 5 people. If you meet Chu Yi, his combat strength isn't too strong, but you need to pay attention to the following points. If it's Bao Peng, his defensive dragon technique is at a very high level. Qin Shouji. Even though he has a sharp tongue and a terrible character, his fighting prowess is not to be underestimated. He explained the basic fighting styles of the 5 of them. Ran Ran began to ponder. Prince Liang Luo also had a serious look on his face. I understand. However, we might not necessarily get one of the 5 of them. If it's one of the other 15, it's very likely that none of what you said will be useful. Kang Xinmu wanted to beat him to death. He hadn't been in Donghuang Yangwu College for long, so it was impossible for him to be familiar with every student's fighting style. He was just trying his luck by explaining the situation of these 5 people. What if he encountered them? If they were prepared, their chances of winning would naturally be higher than if they were unprepared. This Liang Luo insisted on ruining his stage, which made him unhappy. However, Kang Xinmu couldn't be bothered to stoop to his level. After saying this, after eating, Kang Xinmu left with the 2 women and returned to the charming inn. Have a good rest tonight. When you and Liang Luo go on stage tomorrow, let's discuss and pick 2 more reliable people to go with us. Kang Xinmu instructed. He also rested at the charming inn tonight. He couldn't be bothered to go back since he had to come down tomorrow anyway. After the free-for-all, it was time for the first round of challenges. The first round of challenges was 4 against 1. While Kang Xinmu was discussing with Liang Luo and the others, the entire Donghuang Dragon Martial City was filled with geniuses who were participating in the trial, looking for their teammates. This was a way to make friends with other genius trial takers, and it was also the only chance to win. If they wanted to join Donghuang Yangwu College, they had to win the next round of challenges. Although the chances were not high, if they could pick better teammates, it was not impossible to defeat the students of Donghuang Yangwu College. The last round of challenges was 2 against 1, and the requirements were much higher. But in the first round of 4 against 1, many people could pass the trial every year. That night, it became a sleepless night for many people. There were also many people who wanted to find Ran Ran and Liang Luo, but no one knew where Ran Ran was staying. On the other hand, the inn that Liang Luo and the others were staying at was harassed by more than 10 groups of people. They were all talented dragon martial artists who wanted to cooperate with Liang Luo. Therefore, Liang Luo received them one by one, picked 2 fellows who looked pleasing to the eye, and decided to let them join tomorrow. To be honest, in Liang Luo's opinion, it was impossible for them to lose when it was 4 against 1, as long as the other 2 did not drag them down. As for Ran Ran, he was naturally not worried. After all, she was a real student of Donghuang Dragon Martial City, someone that even Kang Xinmu thought highly of. The next day. Donghuang Dragon Martial City, Training Field. After more than 10 free-for-all battles on the first day, today's battles were even more exciting. Because today, there would be students of Donghuang Yangwu College. There were more than 200 genius dragon martial artists who had passed the free-for-all yesterday. These 200 people could form a total of more than 50 teams. Just last night alone, there were already more than 24-man teams that had formed. As for the rest, they were randomly distributed among the people who had arrived at the scene today. If there was a hope of becoming a student of Donghuang Yangwu College, it was impossible for them to do nothing last night. Even the strong did not need to go out, and there would be people coming to invite them. Therefore, those who did not form a team last night basically had no hope. Therefore, it was fine to just randomly find a few people today, and at least show their faces on stage. Perhaps the opponents they chose were not strong, and they would really win? Donghuang Yangwu College. The same 5 instructors appeared to preside over the genius trials this time. The instructors were also very busy. Their appearance meant that the first round of challenges was about to begin. Everyone formed their own 4-man team and went up to register. Then, the 5 instructors drew lots together to decide the opponents that each team of 4 would face. Kang Xinmu was in the spectator stands, watching them draw lots with Princess Fire Phoenix. Princess Fire Phoenix was clearly a little nervous. Kang Xinmu could not help but smile. Don't be nervous. No matter who it is, Ran Ran will definitely be able to deal with them. Hearing Kang Xinmu's words, Princess Fire Phoenix calmed down and secretly prayed for Ran Ran. Soon, the results of the draw were out. Ran Ran and Prince Yen formed a 4-man team, and in today's first round of challenges, they would face Qin Shouji. This result made Kang Xinmu immediately smile. It seemed that Qin Shouji was in for a hard time this time. Previously, when he revealed Qin Shouji's fighting style, it was not considered a trap. After all, even if he lost against a genius, he would not lose anything. He would only gain some experience points if he won. This time, Kang Xinmu could not get a chance to earn experience points. So what if he let others lose some experience points? Chapter 42-74. While drawing lots to choose their opponents, it also determined the time of their challenge. Ran Ran and Prince Cheng's group of 4 would challenge Qin Shouji. This was the 7th group of all the groups. This was considered one of the earlier groups, but it was not the first group to go up. This would allow them to see the strength of Donghuang Yangwu College's students. After drawing lots, the first group of geniuses went up. There were 2 men and 2 women, a total of 4 extremely young genius dragon martial artists. Each of them had inherited blood essence at the level of the Dragon King. One of the young men had advanced from the same chaotic battle as Ran Ran. Of course, Ran Ran did not know him, and Kang Xinmu did not pay attention to him. At this moment, the 2 men and 2 women went straight to the center of the training field and looked at Chu Yi. The opponent they drew was Chu Yi. Chu Yi looked at the 4 of them and estimated their strength. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, and he looked relaxed. However, Kang Xinmu knew this guy's personality very well. Calm and collected? Impossible. This guy just wanted to show off for a bit. You're lucky to have drawn me as your opponent. Chu Yi smiled faintly and flew towards the martial arts arena with a relaxed expression. It's your honor to be defeated by me. As a student of Donghuang Yangwu College, his strength was naturally much stronger than the genius dragon martial artists outside. However, the first round of the genius trial was 4 against 1. For the 20 people who had been chosen, this round was the most difficult round. Whoever lost this round would become a laughing stock for the rest of the people. Chu Yi obviously did not think that he would lose. His confident look made the 2 young men and 2 young women gnash their teeth in anger. This guy was so confident. Attack! The leading young man was obviously the strongest. He instantly transformed into the body of a 4,000 feet long Dragon King, and the power of wind and snow erupted from his body. The snowstorm instantly enveloped the field and swept toward Chu Yi, who had yet to transform into a dragon. Seeing this, Chu Yi was not surprised at all. Your strength is too weak, he said softly. The other 19 students of Donghuang Yangwu College wanted to beat him to death after hearing what he had said since he went on stage. Does this guy like to show off so much? 1 against 4, yet he was still so confident. He even had the time to speak such lofty words, making people want to beat him up. However, Chu Yi was just like that. If someone tried to persuade him, they would only be asking for trouble. In the face of his opponent's blizzard power, Chu Yi instantly transformed into a dragon the moment he finished speaking. Under the expectant gazes of everyone present, Chu Yi also transformed into a 4,000 feet long dragon. A golden barrier instantly enveloped his entire body. What kind of dragon martial skill is this? So bright. Everyone was stunned by that burst of golden light. That resplendent golden light was like a small sun. It suddenly appeared on the martial arts field and completely enveloped Chu Ye's divine dragon body. This was a defensive dragon martial skill. Moreover, it was a low-tier origin skill. Most importantly, Chu Yi had actually cultivated it to the peak of heaven tier. Kang Xinmu had seen this low-tier origin skill before when he was exchanging experience points. It was called Golden Sun Wheel. However, he was not interested in defensive dragon martial skills. Moreover, this dragon martial skill was somewhat flashy but without substance. In other words, opponents who looked very strong or were very close to it could be blinded by the dazzling golden light, causing them to temporarily lose their vision. However, its defensive ability was far inferior to other origin dragon martial skills of the same tier. Chu Yi had actually chosen to cultivate this technique. Kang Xinmu saw this, and his face began to twitch. This guy, how could he be so flashy? When the Golden Sun Wheel, which had been cultivated to the peak, was unleashed, the 2 males and 2 females who were very close to the martial arts field, the 4 young genius dragon martial artists, were instantly blinded by the light. Even the other dragon martial artists in the spectator stands could not help but close their eyes. This golden light was too bright. What kind of dragon martial skill is this? It's at least at the level of an origin dragon martial skill. And it has been cultivated to the heaven tier. The students of Donghuang Yangwu College are indeed extraordinary. When everyone opened their eyes and the golden light dissipated, everyone saw that the divine dragon bodies of the 4 young geniuses, 2 males and 2 females, had all landed outside the martial arts field. All of them looked dizzy and had already lost their ability to fight, apart from those Dragon Emperor martial artists whose cultivation base was close to the peak. No one else had clearly seen how Chuyi had moved. In the end, those 4 people had actually been defeated. That golden light is really, everyone felt a sense of loss. In this match, they had not been able to witness the strength of Donghuang Yangwu College. However, it was very clear that in the instant that the golden light dissipated, Chuyi had already beaten those 4 people to the ground, and all of them had lost their ability to fight. From this, it could be seen that Chuyi was extremely powerful. Kang Xinmu narrowed his eyes. Even he had not expected that Chuyi had actually cultivated such an origin dragon martial skill. That Sun Will Golden Light was not a dragon martial skill that an ordinary person would choose. It seems that the information I introduced to them about those 5 people was not accurate. Their abilities have all improved during this period of time. Kang Xinmu thought to himself. Originally, he had thought that Ran Ran and Prince Cheng's collaboration was a sure win. But now, it seemed that if there were any unexpected situations, it would not be so easy to deal with them. On the field, everyone had to work hard. Once the students of Donghuang Yangwu College lost, they would become the laughing stock of others, and they would also lose experience points. And once they won, they would receive more experience points as rewards. Without a doubt, the students would definitely fight with their lives on the line. With so many people drawing lots together, even if some of them knew each other in private, there was no possibility of them conceding on purpose. Moreover, in a situation where both sides would receive great rewards for winning, no one would go easy on them. I must be careful. Kang Xinmu thought to himself. He hoped that Ran Ran would not be careless. From Chu Ye's current performance, she should be able to imagine that the other 4 people that Kang Xinmu had introduced would definitely have some hidden skills that they had not shown to Kang Xinmu before. If they were not vigilant, they might fail miserably in an easy task, and their hopes of entering Donghuang Yangwu College would be dashed. Although Ran Ran was still very young, and there would be another chance, if they failed this time, they would have to wait for a year. If they entered Donghuang Yangwu College a year earlier, how much could they improve? It was unimaginable. Therefore, they had to fight for this opportunity. Kang Xinmu had not expected that Chuyi would actually cultivate such a flashy skill. However, there were many matches today, and no one would be paying attention to him. Chapter 4275. There wasn't much to look forward to in the next few matches. Kang Xinmu didn't recognize the genius dragon martial artist. As for the students from Donghuang Yangwu College, Kang Xinmu didn't recognize them either. As for victory and defeat, there were naturally wins and losses. If it was 4 against 1, even the students from Donghuang Yangwu College would feel pressured. After all, these were only the students from the outermost Alcade district. If it was a student at Lin Yuji's level, not to mention 4, even 40 of them might not be a match for her. Their combat strength was on a completely different level. In a true crushing situation, as long as one wasn't too stupid, one could completely drag out dozens of opponents to death until they exhausted their strength. One move of the dragon martial technique could even kill a few fellows. How were they supposed to fight? If the difference in strength was too great, there was no need to test them. It wasn't a test, it wasn't a trial, it was torture, it was a crushing. In the 7th group, it was finally Ran Ran and Prince Cheng's turn to go up together. Together with them were the other 2 inheritors of the Dragon King's blood essence. Their strength was not bad, and their cultivation was at the 5th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Such a 4-person team was undoubtedly very powerful. When Qin Shoji entered the arena, he had a gloomy expression on his face. Even he knew that the opponents he had drawn would not be easy to deal with. It was very likely that he would be defeated like the previous two students. Once he was defeated, people would probably use this matter to mock him if he continued to talk nonsense in the future. To him, this was an extremely painful thing. It was so hard to not be able to mock others with his mouth anymore. But no matter what, no one could change the opponents they had drawn. Qin Shoji could only bite the bullet and go up. After going up, he didn't say a word because he knew that he would lose. So, no matter how much he said, it would be meaningless. Instead, it would make him look like a joke. At this time, Qin Shoji didn't act too presumptuously. Challenge, begin. As one of the instructors gave the order, the battle on the field began. The 5 participants instantly transformed into divine dragons. Kang Xinmu didn't say anything as he watched the battle from the side. Instead, he carefully observed Qin Shoji's battle. In the end, he discovered that Qin Shoji's battle style was completely different from Chu Ye's strange dragon martial skill. Although this person's mouth was cheap, it had to be said that he still had some strength. Just the peak origin dragon martial technique had already merged 3 moves, one for defense, one for offense, and one for speed. The 3 complemented each other. Although there was nothing too eye-catching about it, it was very stable in battle, leaving no gaps for others to exploit. Even if Prince Cheng and Ran Ran joined forces, it would still be difficult to deal with him. His defense was impeccable, and Qin Shoji might even counterattack when they attacked. This was the strength of the students of Donghuang Yangwu College. Such a battle was nothing to Kang Xinmu. If he were to enter the arena, he wouldn't need to spend too much effort to defeat either side. But for the other young dragon martial artists, such a battle was already very exciting. If it was only Ran Ran and Prince Cheng, this battle would probably last for a long time. Unfortunately, it was 4 against 1 in the first round. No matter how strong Qin Shoji was and how tight his defense was, if he couldn't finish off one of his opponents quickly and reduce the number of opponents, he would soon be at a disadvantage. In the end, he was hit in the head by Prince Cheng, and he fell onto the arena. It was okay to lose. But losing in such a humiliating manner made Qin Shoji's face darken. He admitted defeat. When he dragged his injured body back, he looked at Prince Cheng deeply. The meaning in his eyes was clear. "Brat, you better not enter Donghuang Yangwu College. If you really enter, you'll be in trouble." Unfortunately, Prince Cheng was very carefree and didn't care about Qin Shoji's gaze. Seeing that Qin Shoji had admitted defeat and the 4 of them had won, he immediately grinned. We won. We're 1 step closer to entering Donghuang Yangwu College." He was very confident. Unfortunately, the other 2 dragon martial artists who were with him and Ran Ran looked at each other and felt a little uncomfortable. Because in the next round, it would be 3 against 1. Among the genius dragon martial artists who won in this round, almost all of them would form a new team. In their team of 4, one of them would definitely be kicked out. Ran Ran and Prince Cheng must have teamed up. Then, between the 2 of them, one of them would definitely leave. They could either give up or join another team and form a team of 3 with the genius dragon martial artists who had been kicked out. Needless to say, once they were kicked out, their chances of winning in the next round would be very low. After all, the other dragon martial artist in his team would definitely be kicked out by the other 4 teams. Then, his strength would definitely be the weakest. It could be foreseen that tonight, many dragon martial artists would secretly compete for the chance of winning tomorrow. Whoever could join the team tomorrow had to be decided tonight. No matter what, if they won the 3 against 1 round, they would have a chance to enter the final round. If they lost tomorrow, they would definitely not have any chance. Of course, the chances of winning the 2 against 1 would be even lower. But no matter what, since they were participating in the genius trial, they would definitely give it a try. They would not give up until the very last moment. Once they joined Donghuang Yangwu College, they would rise up like a carp leaping over the dragon's gate. To them, although they did not know about the existence of the super dragon god, nor did they know why Donghuang Yangwu College existed, they knew that the dragon martial artists who graduated from Donghuang Yangwu College would eventually become powerful. This kind of opportunity was rare in the world. Although it happened once every year, if they failed this year, how could it be so easy to succeed next year? Most importantly, for many people, this year was their last chance. Next year, their age would exceed the registration limit and they would not be able to sign up. This made them want to risk their lives to see if they could make it to the end. So tonight, there was bound to be a lot of bloodshed. In order to fight for the chance to stay in a stronger team tomorrow. For this chance, it was nothing to fight until one's head bled. This kind of situation was not uncommon, and Donghuang Yangwu College would not stop it. It was a fact that the more talented one could join Donghuang Yangwu College. Donghuang Yangwu College existed to nurture the super dragon god. If one was too talented, it would be a waste of resources to join. Because of this, the number of people who could join Donghuang Yangwu College through the genius trial was relatively small. Those who were truly talented to join Donghuang Yangwu College had mostly obtained the East Emperor seal from their respective Dragon Emperor's holy tower and could officially join Donghuang Yangwu College. Chapter 4276. After Ran won, Kang Xinmu did not leave. Instead, he continued to watch the battles. After all, no one knew who Ran would face next. It was necessary to observe the other students in advance and see what tricks they had up their sleeves. Otherwise, it would be a tragedy if he encountered Chu Yi. He would probably have to leave the arena early, that kid was too cunning. He had actually secretly cultivated that frightening dragon origin martial technique. It was fine if he didn't use it, but once he used it, it would be shocking. However, Kang Xinmu watched until the end. There were more than 50 matches today, and he did not see anything too shocking. This made him breathe a sigh of relief. If he did not use any tricks when fighting against 4 people, then there was basically nothing to pay attention to in the following 3 or 2 people challenges. There should be no problem. Kang Xinmu estimated that if Ran and Prince Cheng worked together, it would not be too much of a problem for them to deal with any one of the 20 students. There were still 2 days left. One would be 3 against 1, and the other would be 2 against 1. As long as they could win, Ran would pass the genius trial and become an official student of Donghuang Yangwu College. Of course, if Ran could win, Prince Cheng would definitely be able to join Donghuang Yangwu College. This gave Kang Xinmu a headache. This Prince Cheng, Liang Luo, was almost like a monkey. He was hard to discipline. If he joined Donghuang Yangwu College, he would probably be very mischievous. However, this had nothing to do with Kang Xinmu. In any case, he only hoped that Ran could join Donghuang Yangwu College. At that time, he could go out with Ran to gain experience. His efficiency would definitely be faster than now. As for tonight, how the other 2 dragon warriors in Ran's group would fight had nothing to do with Kang Xinmu. The next day, the 3rd round of the genius trial of Donghuang Yangwu College was 3 against 1. Before Kang Xinmu arrived with Fire Phoenix, he already knew that the one who could fight alongside Ran and Prince Cheng today was the taller of the 2 teammates from yesterday. As for the shorter one, he didn't even appear in the arena today. Kang Xinmu guessed that he might have been injured in last night's duel and couldn't fight today. This opportunity was not fated with that kid. However, even if he could win with Ran and Prince Cheng today, the chances of him winning the 2 against 1 tomorrow was not high. Of course, this had nothing to do with Kang Xinmu. He only cared about Ran. First, it was time to draw lots. Ran, Prince Cheng, and the taller dragon warrior went up to the arena together and drew lots with the other teams. This time, they drew a student that Kang Xinmu didn't know. However, that student's performance in yesterday's 2 battles was average. He lost one and won the other. Even when he lost that match, he didn't display any powerful means. This guy doesn't seem to be that passionate about winning. Kang Xinmu narrowed his eyes and glanced at that student. Speaking of which, it made sense. Usually, students who won in the genius trial would only get experience points as a reward. Moreover, the experience points for winning a battle were not much. In the stage of 1 against 4, there was no need to risk his life. If he was seriously injured and couldn't participate in the next battle, it would be a real loss. After all, as long as he persevered, it would be easy to win the next battle. Furthermore, if they were to be heavily injured during the trial, it would be a very shameful thing for the students. Then today, when he meets Ran Ran and Prince Cheng, I'm afraid he won't use his full strength. At least, he won't use the dragon martial technique that will affect his condition. Kang Xinmu narrowed his eyes. This was a good situation. He was afraid that he would meet someone like Chu Yi, who would use a flashy dragon martial technique and blind everyone's eyes. If that was the case, it would be difficult to deal with him. Ran Ran's team was placed first in today's competition. Fortunately, after yesterday's battle, the 3 of them were the first to fight today. They didn't need to earn anything. Moreover, they were no longer as clueless about their opponents as they were yesterday. After all, they had seen their opponents fight the day before. The 3 of them went up. That student also went up with a solemn expression. After all, he knew that in this genius trial, there were a few strong people that he had to pay attention to. 2 of them were Ran Ran and Prince Cheng. Today, he was actually going up against the 2 of them. If he could win, of course, he wanted to win. However, today's battle would be a little more difficult. After they went up, the instructor announced the start of the competition. The 4 of them turned into dragon martial artists almost at the same time. The divine dragon that the student transformed into was also more than 400 zhang long. However, the aura of the Dragon King's blood essence was extremely strong, shocking everyone in the arena. How young was this kid? He had already cultivated 50% of the Dragon King's blood essence. He was only half the distance away from the Dragon Emperor. Was this the strength of the students of Donghuang Yangwu College? Only the students of Donghuang Yangwu College knew that this kid had been in Donghuang Yangwu College for a long time and had absorbed more Dragon Mark energy. In other words, after being in the college for so long, he was still in the outermost Alcade district. Compared to others, his talent was indeed very poor. Of course, this person had been in Donghuang Yangwu College for a long time. Even if his talent was a little poor, he was still much stronger than others. At this moment, when the competition had just started, this person had already unleashed a tyrannical origin dragon martial technique. At this time, everyone realized that the students of Donghuang Yangwu College almost always used the origin dragon martial technique. Moreover, it was a heaven-level origin dragon martial technique. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for them to pass the test of the Holy Tower of the Dragon Emperor Kingdom and obtain the East Emperor seal. And this time, the 20 student dragon martial artists had cultivated at least 2 kinds of origin dragon martial techniques. Moreover, they had cultivated them to the peak. Compared to the young dragon martial artists outside, they were not just a little bit stronger. Even if it was 3 against 1, it was definitely not an easy task. Moreover, because the students of Donghuang Yangwu College had experienced many trials and had rich combat experience, they were much more mature than the average young genius dragon martial artist. Of course, this was only referring to the average genius dragon martial artist. Ran Ran used to be a member of the Dark Dragon team. Although she had lost her memories of the Dark Dragon team, her instincts from countless battles were still there. In comparison, Prince Feng was slightly weaker in terms of combat experience. However, his coordination with Ran Ran was not bad. The main thing was that Prince Feng would be in the front and Ran Ran would be behind him, waiting for an opportunity to attack. This kind of coordination was the most basic. If it was not good, there was no need to be a dragon martial artist. In addition, the other tall dragon martial artist kept harassing them from the side, making it impossible for the other party to use his full strength. After fighting for about half an hour, the other party was the first to be defeated. Today's first battle, the genius trial taker had won. This made many people a little excited. Because today's battle was 3 against 1. If their coordination was not very good, they would not have much of an advantage. If they could win today, then as long as they won another match tomorrow, they would be able to join Donghuang Yangwu College and become an official student. Outside the arena, everyone looked at Ran Ran and the other two with envy and jealousy. Even some of the older experts felt the same way. Chapter 4277. Ran Ran's team had defeated the student from Donghuang Yangwu College, and the crowd was in an uproar. However, they were not so lucky in the following battles. Ran Ran and Prince Cheng were really strong, not to mention the student from Donghuang Yangwu College. Their opponent was not too strong, which was why they were able to win. However, the next 3 battles all ended with the defeat of the genius trial takers. They were not weak, and even in the Dragon Emperor Kingdom, their combat power could be said to be among the best of the younger generation. However, the student from Donghuang Yangwu College was even stronger. This caused them to be defeated regretfully. If it was not difficult to win, there would probably be people who could join Donghuang Yangwu College every year, and the number of students in Donghuang Yangwu College would increase by at least 1 or 2 times. Donghuang Yangwu College was not a welfare institute, but an existence built to select Super Shenron. Although these people were not weak, since they had lost, it meant that they basically had no chance of becoming Super Shenron. After all, there were very few who could become Super Shenron. Even among the students from Donghuang Yangwu College, how many of them could become Super Shenron? Now, the selection system for Donghuang Yangwu College's students was very relaxed. Even among the students from Donghuang Yangwu College, it was already very good to have 1% of them become Super Shenron. This showed how difficult it was to become Super Shenron. Even if the Dragon Mark had enough energy, one had to be talented enough to absorb enough Dragon Mark energy. Otherwise, at the Dragon Emperor stage, there would be a bottleneck every 10% of progress. This was why after a Dragon Warrior reached the level of the Dragon Emperor, the progress of the Divine Dragon's blood essence became very slow. For example, the Flame Dragon Emperor was basically stuck at 9%, and probably could not reach 10% in this lifetime. This was the limit of his talent. Generally speaking, those who absorbed the energy of the Dragon Mark with a higher efficiency were more talented. Therefore, the selection of Donghuang Yangwu College was basically to select those with strong combat power. Basically, there was no such thing as a dragon martial artist with high talent and weak combat power. Therefore, losing in the genius trial was a loss. Although it was a pity, there was no other way. When it came to the 5th match, the genius trial taker finally won another match. However, it was a difficult victory. Throughout the day, there were only 3 groups that could win. In other words, only 9 people would be able to participate in the final round tomorrow. In the last round, 2 people would form a team and fight against the students from Donghuang Yangwu College. Therefore, among these 9 people, there would definitely be one person who would not even have the chance to go on stage. As for who didn't have the chance to go on stage, it had nothing to do with Kong Shinmu. Everything depended on the competition of the remaining few people tonight. Whoever was the weakest would be eliminated. Generally speaking, in this round, all the remaining people would gather together to decide who was the strongest and who was the weakest. Then, the strong would form an alliance and the weak would be eliminated. Alternatively, they would form their own team and go on stage. 3 against 1 matches were already very difficult. 2 against 1 was almost impossible to win. However, the situation this year was different. Ran Ran and Prince Cheng had already been confirmed to fight together. Therefore, the others could only play by themselves. Honestly speaking, other than Ran Ran and Prince Cheng, there was basically no possibility of the others joining Donghuang Yangwu College as a student. Of course, they still had to compete. Early the next morning, Kang Xinmu brought his people to the competition venue. As the number of spectators increased, the 5 Donghuang Yangwu College mentors also arrived. Finally, it was time for the drawing of lots on the last day. Ran Ran walked up to the stage to draw lots. There were a total of 6 genius trial takers in the other 3 groups. They looked at her back with complicated expressions. Originally, they had planned to go to the end with Ran Ran, but in the end, Prince Cheng beat them to it. They had no choice but to form a team. However, they knew that going on stage was probably just a formality. It was too difficult to win against a student from Donghuang Yangwu College with just 2 people. She drew Chu Yi. Soon, the result of Ran Ran's drawing was out. Everyone subconsciously looked at Chu Yi, who was sitting on the stage and waiting carelessly. This guy was not simple. Regardless of whether it was 4 against 1 or 3 against 1, he had fought twice. Every time, he had ended the battle extremely quickly without any hesitation. This showed how strong he was. Now, the most promising team to join Donghuang Yangwu College, Ran Ran and Prince Cheng's team, had actually met Chu Yi. This was going to be a good show. Some people were jealous. Naturally, they did not want them to win against Chu Yi and join Donghuang Yangwu College. Some people, such as Kang Xinmu, felt that it was a little troublesome. Although Chu Yi had just joined Donghuang Yangwu College not long ago, he was still quite strong. Moreover, this guy seemed to have some unique skills that were harder to deal with than the others. Just that disgusting dragon skill, Golden Sun Wheel, was enough to make his opponent uncomfortable. Needless to say, this guy might have some other skills that he had not used. There were 8 people in total. They were divided into 4 groups and drew lots. In this group, only 4 students from Donghuang Yangwu College could fight. Chapter 4278. Although they were the first to draw lots, they were not the first to fight. There were a total of 8 people in this round, divided into 4 groups. Ran Ran and Prince Cheng were the third to fight. As it was the last round, there was a longer interval between today's battles. There were 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. Qin Fengyu was the first to fight in the morning. Are you saying that she is a student of the same mentor as you? Fire Phoenix, who was beside Kang Xinmu, looked at Qin Fengyu curiously. Yes, she is quite strong. At least she should have no problem in this battle. Kang Xinmu nodded. He knew Qin Fengyu quite well. After all, he interacted with Qin Fengyu, Lu Hua, and the others often. After all, they were the same mentor. When Kang Xinmu was injured, she took care of him for a period of time. In this battle, Qin Fengyu was facing a man and a woman, both of whom were at the 6th tier of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, the Genius Dragon King. Qin Fengyu was at the 7th tier of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. However, her strength was not as simple as the 7th tier of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. The students of Donghuang Yangwu College were much stronger in terms of the cultivation of the origin dragon martial technique than the dragon martial artists from the outside world. Moreover, Qin Fengyu had already cultivated to 29% of the divine dragon blood essence at the Dragon King level. On the other hand, the 2 opponents had just entered the Dragon King level. This was a huge difference. The higher the level of the Dragon King level, the stronger the strength. It was not as simple as a little bit higher. This was also the reason why any of the instructors in the Eastern Imperial Dragon Martial Academy were existences that could crush everyone in the outside world. No matter how many dragon emperors there were, they would not be a match for the mentors. The first battle started quickly and ended just as quickly. Qin Fengyu only used a few moves of the Origin Dragon Martial technique. The two opponents could not withstand it and were defeated not long after. The entire battle took less than the time it took for a joss stick to burn. Such an obvious gap in strength made everyone in the spectator stands fall silent. Were the students of Donghuang Yangwu College so terrifying? The top geniuses from the outside world had lost miserably, 2 against 1. In terms of cultivation level, there was not much difference. There was a slight difference in blood essence, but it was said that if one entered Donghuang Yangwu College, the difference could be made up. Some people felt that if they were given a chance to enter Donghuang Yangwu College, they would be as strong as the students of Donghuang Yangwu College. After all, the resources of Donghuang Yangwu College could not be compared to the outside world. But, what they didn't know was that the Eastern Emperor Dragon Martial Academy's goal was to nurture a super divine dragon. They had already fallen so far behind. Even if they entered the Eastern Emperor Dragon Martial Academy, how could they possibly catch up to the others? The entire academy's dragon mark energy wasn't even enough for the students to use, and they had to compete in the form of a big competition every year. More than half of the students could only stay in the outermost Alcade district. To be honest, other than the students who had just entered Donghuang Yangwu College, the students in Alcade district did not have much hope of becoming Super Shinran. Compared to the students in Alcade district, what was that? The students in Alcade district were the weakest in Donghuang Yangwu College. Just like Kong Xinmu. His strength had surpassed the students in Alcade district. He could not be chosen as a candidate for the genius trial. Of course, there could be other reasons why Kong Xinmu was not chosen. But one thing was certain. If Kong Xinmu came for the genius trial, not to mention 2 against 1, even 3 against 1. Even 10 against 1 would not be able to defeat Kong Xinmu. These people's attacks were like tickles to Kong Xinmu. They could not hurt Kong Xinmu even if he stood still. This was the difference. And Kong Xinmu's strength was only at Aliath district. Alcade, Mizar, Aliath. Kong Xinmu was only at the 3rd level. The strength of the students in Donghuang Yangwu College was divided into 7 levels. So, for a low-level student in Donghuang Yangwu College to be able to fight against 2 top geniuses from the outside, was that not enough to explain the problem? Resources were limited. Only the strongest were qualified to join Donghuang Yangwu College. Regardless of whether the people outside could understand it or not, this was the truth. Even if they could not understand it, there was nothing they could do to change it. After the first round, they rested for about an hour. Then, the second round began. This time, the two sides were evenly matched. It was not that the students of Donghuang Yangwu College had become weak. Rather, the challengers were stronger than the previous ones. They were 2 genius dragon martial artists at the 7th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. On average, they were 1 level higher than the previous ones. In this way, the battle would naturally be slightly more difficult. But it was only slightly more difficult. Even if Kong Xinmu did not know the student who fought, there was no doubt about his strength. This person was a dragon martial artist who was proficient in defense. The Origin Dragon martial technique that he cultivated was inclined towards defense and counterattack. First of all, his defense was impregnable. He allowed the 2 opponents to attack him together for a while, but he did not move at all. And the opponent's continuous attacks would always reveal an opening. And when the opponent revealed an opening, it would be the time for the student to counterattack. With just 1 move, he heavily injured the opponent. Clean and efficient. And one of the opponents was heavily injured. The remaining person could not hold on alone, so he was quickly defeated and admitted defeat. In the 2 battles in the morning, although it was 1 against 2, it still made people feel very aggrieved. It was clearly 2 against 1, but no matter what, they were at a disadvantage. the students of Donghuang Yangwu College were too strong. As for the afternoon, everyone had pinned their hopes on Ran Ran and Prince Cheng. Now, only the two of them had a chance of defeating the students of Donghuang Yangwu College. But their opponent was Chu Yi, and Chu Yi was not so easy to deal with. Among the 20 students of Donghuang Yangwu College, Chu Ye's strength was definitely ranked at the top. Who would win and who would lose would depend on the afternoon. Since the beginning of the Genius Trial, there were many students who had joined Donghuang Yangwu College through this method. Among the 20 students on the stage, there were even some who had joined the Genius Trial and had won in the end. But before this year's Genius Trial, it had been 3 years in a row that no one had passed the Genius Trial and become a student of Donghuang Yangwu College. If no one succeeded this year, it would be 4 years in a row. If this continued, some geniuses would not want to participate in the Genius Trial anymore. It was too embarrassing. For cultivators, half a day passed very quickly. In the afternoon, the first battle was about to begin. Ran Ran and Prince Cheng went up to the stage. As for Chu Yi, he picked his ear with one hand and his eyes fell on Ran Ran. "So, have you thought it through?" "Yes, I will beat you into a pig's head later." Chapter 42-79. As soon as they stepped onto the stage, they transformed into their divine dragon forms and an explosive force swept across the entire arena. Ran Ran didn't mind Chu Ye's teasing too much. Prince Cheng, on the other hand, was very displeased. "Ran Ran is my boss Zhang's woman. How dare you tease her? You must be tired of living." After Prince Cheng met Kong Xinmu the last time, he admired Kong Xinmu because Kong Xinmu was too young. Although Kong Xinmu's current cultivation base was relatively weak, Prince Cheng felt that Kong Xinmu would definitely rise up very soon. After all, there were not many people who could become a student of Donghuang Yangwu College at such a young age. For example, in the Genius Trial, the older one was, the more advantageous it would be. Those who were younger would not be able to compete with official students of Donghuang Yangwu College. Moreover, Kong Xinmu had entered Donghuang Yangwu College through the sanctum. This made Kong Xinmu's talent even more terrifying. It was not just talent, but also combat power. Kong Xinmu's combat power was definitely not low since he was able to become a student of Donghuang Yangwu College. Therefore, Prince Cheng felt that he could rely on Kong Xinmu. Regardless of whether he could become a student of Donghuang Yangwu College or not, there was nothing wrong in building a good relationship with Kong Xinmu. Hearing Prince Cheng's words, Chu Yi was instantly enraged. "Forget that Kong Xinmu is stronger than me. You're just a kid who hasn't even entered Donghuang Yangwu College. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me?" It had to be said that Chu Yi had a lot of pride. Although he knew that it was wrong of him to tease Ran Ran, he should not let this kid in front of him teach him a lesson. If Kong Xinmu came knocking on his door, he would admit defeat. But now, he could not admit defeat. Golden Sun Wheel. Without even thinking, Chu Yi instantly unleashed this peerless origin dragon martial technique. The entire place instantly turned bright and dazzling. Unfortunately, he had used this move before, so both Ran Ran and Prince Cheng were prepared for it. When the golden light flashed, the slender black dragon that Ran Ran had transformed into closed her eyes. She had grown up in the dark. When she was in the dark dragon group, she had spent a lot of time training in the dark. Even if she closed her eyes, she could easily find Chu Ye's location based on her previous experience. As for Prince Sui, when the golden light exploded, he actually threw out a black satin cloth from his body. This black satin cloth instantly wrapped around his mystical dragon's head, covering his mystical dragon's eyes. This stunned everyone present. There's such a method? Prince Feng, who was covered by the black satin, could still see Ye's position and movements clearly even though his vision had turned black. As for the Golden Sun Wheel, it was completely useless against Prince Feng. No one present had expected Prince Feng to use such a method to deal with it. Many of them sincerely admired him. Even if he had thought of such a method, it would not have been easy to obtain such a long black satin cloth in a short period of time. Little did they know that this black satin cloth was something that Prince Feng's father had worked hard for a day and a night in the Donghuang Dragon Martial City. If he wanted to cover someone's eyes, the black satin cloth could be found anywhere. But to cover a mystical dragon, especially one at the level of the Dragon King, such a large piece of black satin cloth was not easy to obtain. It could be seen that the black satin cloth that Prince Feng used to cover his eyes was pieced together from dozens of pieces of black cloth. There were even traces of stitching. This time, even Chu Yi was dumbfounded. This fellow could do this? On the contrary, he was almost blinded by his own move. Fortunately, he had his own methods. He was almost unaffected by it when he narrowed his eyes. It was also at this moment that Ran Ran's attack suddenly swept over. Shadow Dragon Sky Raising Break, this origin dragon martial technique that had been cultivated to its peak, condensed 6 black dragon shadows. 6 pitch-black beams of light bombarded Chu Yi. Then, Chu Ye's body glowed with a golden light. Another origin dragon martial technique blocked Ran Ran's attack. Why do you have to be so fierce? If you don't want to follow me, then forget it. Chu Yi was still being mischievous. At this time, Prince Feng's attack came from the side like a gust of wind. Countless blades slashed down from the sky. Together with Ran Ran's attack, Chu Ye's golden defense was shattered. The two of them combined their strength and burst out an extremely strong attack, breaking Chu Ye's defense in an instant. In particular, Prince Feng's countless blades, which had not been shown in the previous battle, instantly broke Chu Ye's defense. Son, you're amazing. In the spectator stand, not far behind Kong Xinmu, the Dragon Emperor's father from Liang Dragon Country was already cheering loudly. Behind him, 100 powerful dragon warriors from Liang Dragon Country roared one after another. Their roars shook the sky, and their momentum was magnificent. This kind of support was something that had not happened in the past few years of the Genius Trial. Donghuang Dragon Martial City was full of experts these days. No one would bring 100 experts to cheer for their son. After all, this was a trial. What if something happened to their hometown with so many experts? Therefore, Prince Feng's father was definitely a weirdo. But at this time, no one was in the mood to care about his father. After all, this was a crucial battle. Once Prince Feng and Ran Ran won, both of them would be able to join Donghuang Yangwu College and become official students. Everyone was very nervous. After all, it had been several years since the Genius Trial had selected students. I didn't expect you to have a hidden card. Chu Yi glanced at Prince Feng, and a dangerous look appeared in his divine dragon eyes. To be honest, his defensive dragon martial skill had not been mastered yet. Defense was only one of its functions. This dragon martial skill was actually the Golden Sun Chakram. The Golden Sun Chakram had 3 ways to cultivate this origin dragon martial skill. One was to attack, one was to defend, and one was to confuse the opponent's vision, just like what he had used before. The defensive and offensive forms of the Golden Sun Chakram were very difficult to cultivate. But once successfully cultivated, the effect would be much stronger than the origin dragon martial skill of the same level. The essence of the Golden Sun Chakram was to condense golden light, and it could freely switch between the 2 forms. It was very adaptable in battle. Unfortunately, he had not mastered it yet. Whether it was offense or defense, he was only a dabbler. In the previous battle, Chu Yi had used this 3-in-1 origin dragon martial skill to wipe out all his opponents. But now, his half-baked defense had been broken by Ran Ran and Prince Feng in one move. It seems that I have to use some real skills. Chu Yi chuckled. He was not really interested in Ran Ran. It was just that he felt uncomfortable if he did not act naughtily every day. That was why he teased her. Chapter 4280. Thinking of this, Chuyi exploded almost instantly. His divine dragon form exuded a terrifying pressure, as if the dragon god of the 9 heavens had descended, causing the surrounding void to distort. 9 heavens divine might. Middle-tier origin skill, 9 heavens divine might. When he used this move, the entire void trembled. Ran and Prince Feng, who were in the air above the martial arts practice ground, felt as if they had been struck by lightning. The 2 divine dragons retreated as if they had been hit by a heavy hammer. 9 heavens divine might, a middle-tier source dragon martial technique. This was a powerful dragon martial technique that surpassed ordinary dragon martial techniques. It did not have a direct offensive effect, but it allowed the user's divine dragon form to carry the tyrannical pressure of a divine dragon. When the Dragon King used it, it was at the level of a Dragon Emperor. When the Dragon Emperor used it, it was at the level of a super divine dragon. One should not underestimate this kind of pressure that came from a higher-level divine dragon's essence blood. When the 9 heavens divine might was unleashed, the main thing that came from this origin dragon martial technique was the mental pressure that it gave off. Ran had trained in the Dark Dragon Squad for a long time, so her mental strength was extremely strong. Even so, she felt dizzy and unable to use her normal strength under the 9 heavens divine might. As for Prince Feng, it was even worse. His entire divine dragon body was sent flying and curled up in midair. He was unable to resist the 9 heavens divine might. This is an even stronger origin dragon martial technique. What kind of pressure is this? Even this Dragon Emperor feels the pressure. Too strong. Is this the weakest batch of students from Donghuang Yangwu College? In the spectator stands, many Dragon Emperors were shocked. All the Dragon Emperors felt threatened by the 9 heaven celestial might dragon martial technique. From this, it could be seen how powerful Chu Ye's spiritual pressure was. It was not easy for Ran to barely maintain her combat strength. This kid actually. On the spectator stand, Kang Xinmu narrowed his eyes in surprise. In Donghuang Yangwu College, mid-tier origin skills were not as common as cabbages. They required a large number of experience points to exchange for. Ever since he entered Donghuang Yangwu College, Kang Xinmu had used his experience points to exchange for materials to raise his cultivation realm. He had also exchanged for natural treasures to cultivate the chaotic dragon body. These had a great impact on his improvement in strength. As for Chu Yi, he and Kang Xinmu joined Donghuang Yangwu College together. Up until now, apart from the quality of the inherited blood essence, this brat's cultivation base hadn't increased in the slightest. Kang Xinmu had thought that he hadn't made much progress, but he hadn't expected that he had secretly exchanged for a mid-tier origin skill. This was out of Kang Xinmu's expectations. Chu Yi normally didn't reveal himself, but he was actually preparing a powerful technique. If it weren't for the fact that Ran and Prince Yen were so powerful, he would probably still be hiding it. He wouldn't use it unless he had no other choice. This guy has hidden himself quite well. Kang Xinmu squinted his eyes. Last time they had gone on a mission together, in the underground cavern, Chu Yi hadn't used this dragon technique even when he was in dire straits. He hadn't expected that he would be forced to reveal it now. It seemed that this guy took the genius trials very seriously. More importantly, it would be too embarrassing if he lost. As a genius of Donghuang Yangwu College, it should have been quite easy for him to take on 2 other geniuses by himself. There were 4 matches in total today. If nothing unexpected happened, he would be the only one who had a chance of losing. How could he not work hard? Last time, he had been forced to call out his instructor because, at that time, he wouldn't have been able to resolve the situation even if he had unleashed the might of the 9 heavens. But now, he had no choice but to use this technique. When the might of the 9 heavens appeared, Prince Yan's divine dragon body instantly retreated, trembling. In front of him was the mental pressure of the Dragon Emperor, causing him to tremble from the bottom of his heart. Although he knew that it was fake, the grade of the divine dragon's blood essence had a huge impact on a dragon martial artist. It wasn't something he could decide on his own. On the other hand, Ran didn't know how she was able to withstand such pressure. Although she was slightly affected, it wasn't a big deal. At least she could continue fighting, unlike Prince Yan who had basically lost his ability to move. Dark Dragon Filth Resistance. Soon, Ran felt the power of the Dark Dragon Filth Resistance in her body erupt, helping her resist the Dragon Emperor's pressure. Under such pressure, her strength was suppressed, but it wasn't fatal. Void Dragon Sky-Piercing Strike. Under this kind of pressure, Ran attacked at the fastest speed possible. She took advantage of the time when Chu Yi was still preparing to attack and attacked first. Chu Yi clearly hadn't expected that Ran would still be able to attack at this time. This was almost impossible. When an expert like the Dragon Emperor intentionally unleashed his mental pressure, even a dragon martial artist like the Dragon King would be greatly affected. Normally, Kang Xinmu didn't feel anything when facing the Dragon Emperor because the Dragon Emperor's pressure didn't land on him. Once the pressure descended, Kang Xinmu would feel the same as Ran and Prince Yan. Of course, Kang Xinmu also cultivated the Dark Dragon Filth Resistance. This high-tier origin skill had the special effect of resisting the Divine Dragon's pressure, but no one knew about it before. At this time, the Void Dragon Sky-Piercing Strike was unleashed. The 6 dragon shadows instantly spat out 6 pitch-black beams of light that shot towards Chu Yi. At this time, Chu Yi's entire divine dragon body was like a dragon god descending, releasing a boundless might. When the 6 pitch-black light beams swept over, the golden light once again covered Chu Yi's surroundings, protecting his entire divine dragon body. The 9 heavens divine might. The effect of this dragon technique was not just a simple mental pressure. Most importantly, after using this dragon technique for a period of time, the dragon martial artist's combat strength would rise to a very high level. For example, the current Chu Yi, who originally had the power of the Dragon King's inherited blood essence, actually contained a small portion of the Dragon Emperor's aura. This caused the power of his dragon technique to also contain the Dragon Emperor's aura. Of course, this level of Chu Yi was still not enough for Kang Xinmu. If he really could obtain the power of the Dragon Emperor's inherited blood essence in a short period of time, he would have used it back in the underground cave. More importantly, this technique could make him stronger, but there was a limit to how much stronger he could get. Most importantly, his increase in strength could not last for very long. If he couldn't finish the battle in a short period of time, he would actually collapse. Ran's Void Dragon Sky-Raising Break landed on his golden barrier, but it was immediately blocked. There was no way for it to break through. But Chu Yi still felt very uncomfortable.